Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
it comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
100%. Ready to go. It's been a long time coming, and I just can't wait to be out there.
That's why we play football in the SEC, trying to go get it done.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies. It ain't like it used to be. Welcome into TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the brand new Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. OB, we're calling this the fun zone or the cool zone. It's
Is that
cool.
what we're calling it?
I don't know. We're going to call it something.
Okay.
We're just hanging out at the anchor wall here. OB David Nuño, he's our Heisman Trophy voter. I am your Ernie Johnson of the program. OB, let's talk a little bit about, I came away impressed yesterday with the presser. And I don't know why, coming away impressed is a thing. They're just words. It's not football. Mm-hmm. But I like the way Coach Elko handles his pressers. I like the way our players talk. Sorry, I like it. And I think you came away impressed too.
Well, here's what I like about Elko is Elko just, the more I'm around him, the more I'm convinced that he's just a straight shooter, no BS. Look, yesterday I asked him, hey, what's your evaluation of the run defense? And he says, we're terrible. And he wasn't being snide about it either.
Right.
And, you know, a lot of coaches would say, because they're not terrible, they are susceptible to giving up the big play. They've given up 5 runs of 21 yards, between 21 and 47 yards. Take away those five plays, and they're averaging about 3 yards, allowing about 3 yards a carry.
Yep.
So over 50 carries or something like that. A lot of coaches would focus on that part and say, oh, no, you know, we're actually doing pretty well. We got to clean up some things, which is, he said that too. But he says, no, we're terrible. Because, you know why? Because those 5 plays are so completely unacceptable to him. That's what he's great. He expects his team to only give up 3 yards or less against the run. So he's not going to tout that because that's what he expects.
Yep.
He's going to say, hey, we're terrible because we're giving up these. So I kind of respect that, even though it would have been very easy for him to come out and say, oh, no, you know, we got a few things we got to fix, but we're doing really well against the run.
By the way, I think you're exactly right. Straight shooter. He will also tell you a different way of looking at the lack of sacks.
Yeah, well,
we're affecting the quarterback.
Oh yeah, and I agree with that because we talked about that yesterday. Did they get sacks? No. Did they get 2 interceptions because of pressure? Yes. Which would you rather have, a sack or an interception? I'll take an interception every time.
By the way, it is Pass It Back Day, the Association of Former Students Annual Day of Giving. It's the 9th annual one today here on Tuesday, September the 10th. It's an annual day of giving to show amazing power of the Aggie Network. Also a day to celebrate everything that it means to be an Aggie and to remember that our experiences were made possible by former students who went before us, providing leadership, financial support so that we could experience Aggieland to its fullest. Help us reach their goal of 1,879 donors today in one day. Help connect former students all over the world by supporting A&M clubs, constituent networks, classes, and traveling Aggies. So we will be talking to a bunch of folks from the Association of Former Students throughout the program. So make sure you go and pass it back. OB, there's no gamesmanship. There's no, to me, I remember yesterday I told you that and I think you agreed with me, Billy Napier, he doesn't have to tell us who the quarterback is. He's just going to say things right now and figure it out as the week goes. And that was based on Sunday's comment where he thought Graham Mertz, if he could clear the concussion protocol, would be the quarterback. Yesterday it comes out, yeah, we plan on playing both quarterbacks. Good. I don't care. A&M should beat them regardless of who the quarterback is. That's how I feel about it.
Well, I do too. I think A&M is better at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football. I really do. And I think typically if you win at the line of scrimmage, you win the game. Now, you got to you got to capitalize on that advantage like they did not do against Notre Dame. But, yeah, so because I'm of the mind, look, I've said this before. I think Devon Achane was the best running back ever here.
Yep.
Ever. I said that. What he didn't have was a whole lot of blocking. So he wasn't as good as he could have been. So my point is a guy like DJ Lagway, who's still just a freshman, and so there comes with those issues too. He's a dynamic player. He's a playmaker. If he doesn't have room to operate, he's just rendered ineffective. I covered the 2006 national championship game. Troy Smith of Ohio State had won the Heisman Trophy. He was a dynamic player all year. The Florida Gators pass rush rendered him completely ineffective. Yeah. So if you can dominate the line of scrimmage, it doesn't matter how good typically you are and how talented you are in the skill position.
Let's go back to 2021. The last year Coach Elko coached this defense. Mm-hmm. The first two losses were to Mississippi State and Arkansas. Those losses were not about the defense.
Oh, no.
Because if I remember correctly, Mississippi State scored maybe 21 points. I know Arkansas scored 20, right? It was 20-10 game, if I remember correctly.
I think, yeah.
Or 24-10, something in that respect.
Right. The Aggies almost came back and made it a game.
Right.
And then, they had the interception off Bryce Foster's helmet.
Yep.
And then the next week, I think they lost something like 26-22 to Mississippi State. Remember, Zach Calzada took a sack for a safety when you needed a field goal to win in the last minute.
And there was also an early interception that led to great field position for Mississippi State. So those were not defensive issues; they were offensive issues.
Yes.
And I
don't know if they had a game.
I think Mississippi State was before Arkansas, but regardless of the order, it doesn't. I might be wrong there.
No, I think it was Arkansas, then Mississippi State.
But defense was not the issue that season.
Well, no, it wasn't. Even the loss at Ole Miss, they gave up 29 points. Well, 2 was on a safety, and then another one, there's a pick six.
And then another interception to give them the ball again.
Yeah, so, no. And then
the Alabama game, that was just a shootout in the second half. That was just a shootout, 41-38. And by the way, sometimes good defenses give up a bunch of points.
Remember, there was a block punt for a touchdown in that game for Alabama. So, I thought, to your point, maybe the LSU game, even though I thought the defense.
But how many points did they give up in that game? It was in the 20s, right?
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah. It was just unfortunate.
No, the big problem there was, once again, put Devon Achane as your running back and let him go get the never mind.
But it would have been nice to have had a defensive stop, which on that final drive where Max Johnson looked elite on that drive. A few months later, he's A&M's backup quarterback and becomes the starter, but that's a different story. I guess my point is, I hope we're not in the same world where I hope the defense is phenomenal, obviously, but I hope it's not because of the offense not providing enough points. And I think Connor and the group can score enough points on the road against a Florida team that is vulnerable. They're thinking that A&M is vulnerable.
Yeah, well, they do, and they should. Hey, A&M hasn't won a road game since Mike Elko was defensive coordinator here, right? So that's one reason.
That was one of the questions they asked Elko yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely.
We won quite a few games when I was here on the road.
They did. That's a good thing. So. But yeah, and they're the team with the back against while they're at home. They have to win, especially with the schedule they have coming up in November. All those things, right? Big game for Billy Napier. If they lose, who knows where they're going and how long he's going to last.
Do you think he gets fired if they lose in a 24-20 kind of way?
I don't think any loss is acceptable. I don't know if he's going to get fired this early.
If they get blown out, could you see it? Let's just say A&M goes there and they roll them 31-10. Let's just say for this purpose.
I think it's possible. I don't think they'd go that fast, but I think it's possible. He's probably on the thinnest of ice after that, if that happens.
If you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, you can do it multiple ways. You can call us. You can text us, 979-693-1150. If you call us, we'll pick it up on the Boss Firearms hotline. Let's go around the room and say hi to the people. We go behind the glass and we say hi to Nick Savage. This poor guy You know, like, we're working a lot. This dude recently, I got here this morning at 6:30, I think it was, and Nick was working on the sound in this room. Like, this guy does not stop working.
Well, and then he's married, so goes home, and his wife probably puts him to work.
100%. Nick, good morning, buddy.
You're not wrong about that, OB, but it's okay. That's what I signed up for, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you signed up to be happy. For his wife. Oh, you didn't hear, you don't have your headpiece. My bad.
That's right. He doesn't have his
My
headphones.
fault.
Whoops. I should have known that too. But
Oops,
anyways,
we did it again.
Yeah. You know, it's a
Great
big
start
day.
to the show, though, right?
Yeah, great show. It's a big day, right, David? Pass it back day and your birthday. So happy birthday, everyone.
Thank you, buddy.
Text in, chat in.
No, we don't
happy
need to
birthday,
do all that.
David.
No.
Happy 57th birthday. You look great.
Why'd you say it so fast?
Well,
Why'd you say that I'm not 57 years old, Nick? I'm actually 48 years old.
So I wasn't that far off.
No, you weren't that far off. Yes, I'm at that age where you have to go to the doctor and get things tested and all that good stuff. Yes, I am at that age, but I'm still a whippersnapper.
Yeah.
I can still take you. Anyway,
Okay. Well,
on the
again, happy birthday.
Court. Thank you. Very kind of you, sir. What's on your mind this morning? That's it? That was great talk. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Aggies gather at the Angry Elephant. Callie Gardner's there. Callie, good morning.
Good morning. How's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
I'm great. I had a fantasy football victory last night, and I'm feeling good on this Tuesday morning.
Who won it for you?
Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson, yeah.
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 It was neck and neck, me and Kay Nigley, like right there. And I just took the victory.
That's
She
nice.
lost.
That's nice that you invited us to play in your fantasy football league. That's really nice. Thank you.
That's on Nick. I'll
Nick,
throw that one
this
over
is
to
Nick's
Nick.
thing. Oh, this is a staff thing that we're not
Wow,
invited
Callie.
to.
Nice. By the way, I just want to mention their game, Kay and Callie, is like the most like mid-game ever. They both scored like 80 points.
No,
when
I had
everyone
them, like,
else in the league
106.
is scoring like over 100. So it's just a rough scene out
Do you
there.
guys,
Fact check
do you guys
right
hear
now.
that, by the way, in the background? Do you hear that? That is the sound of everybody in Bryan College Station changing the station on the zone because we're talking fantasy football. It's other teams. Callie, continue on, please.
Nick also took mine. I was going to be the first to wish you happy birthday, but I'll be the second. Happy
Thank
birthday.
you. And my wife asked me, what do you want to do today? I was like, I don't know. I got to take the kids to soccer. She's like, we got to do something for your birthday. Like, just,
Yeah.
we'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out. I know you will. Well, A&M news, we had Sydney Fuller was named SEC Freshman of the Week yesterday following her performance this past week on Thursday when they won 2-0 over TCU, and she had 5 saves in her performance, and the Aggies snapped their 3-game losing streak against TCU. So congratulations to her and Aggie soccer.
Yeah, way to play. TCU, those games the last few years have all come down to some weird goals. So happy for Coach G and company.
Yeah, that was awesome. And we also have several members of the Texas A&M men's tennis team competing as individuals who stood out in the Midland Collegiate Invitational last weekend. We had a junior who ran through the singles round with 5 straight set victories, and he won the finals over a TUE player. And then he teamed up with Luke Casper for the doubles round as they won the title, defeating the pair from Oklahoma.
Good stuff, Callie. Thank you very much. Of course. OB, I said it yesterday, and I meant it in a, like, if you remember last week when Notre Dame beat A&M, I was like, look, I don't know if Notre Dame's going to, I'm done with projecting how good a team is going to be early on to make me feel better about a loss. And I went back to Miami last year. I'm also not going to project a bad team being bad all year long based on an early loss. Now, I think Florida's not going to be a good team when it's all said and done, partially because of the record, partially because of the dysfunction that's happening in that program. But like projecting out, I just feel like to make you feel better or to make you feel worse, it's a different college football world, man. Like it's very hard to really know with all these transfers how long a team is going to take for them to get it. And it's going to be based on, yes, coaching, culture, and the type of young men that you bring in. And sometimes you're just bringing in young men based on star talent or what you perceive to be talent and not really like what it means to the fabric of your program.
Yeah. In fact, we were talking earlier. Who has the best win so far over a team you just know is going to be good? And if you look at the rankings, you would say, well, probably the best win over a team.
Texas, right?
Is Texas. But do we know that Michigan's going to be good?
I don't think I knew
because
Michigan
they weren't very
was
good
going to
against Fresno.
No, but I didn't think they were going to be that. I thought early in the summer, I was like, I don't think Michigan's going to be good. But I didn't think they were going to be 7-5 kind of team, which they look like right
They
now.
look like, and that's not to say that Texas isn't good. That's not the point. I'm saying, well, what's the big win over a team that you just know is going to be good?
You and Zane were talking about NC State, Tennessee. We don't know if NC State, it looks good because of rankings, but when it's all said and done, is NC State going to be good?
Yeah. Now Tennessee looks good, and what you're supposed to do if you're playing a bad team is you're supposed to look great against them.
Georgia, Clemson?
I tend to think that's probably the most impressive victory so far. There are those that are going to question how good Clemson is. I think Clemson's going to be pretty decent. So yeah, that's the one that I would say.
If Georgia does something similar to Texas, if Texas does it to Georgia, by the way, now we're like, oh, okay.
Well, yeah, then that's one just win by 1 point. You're going to say, okay.
Right.
You know, that's going to be a legitimate win. Like Oregon. Do we know, what do we know about Oregon?
They don't look good, but they're 2-0.
2-0 against the state of Idaho.
Right.
And I can't even tell you, I can't remember who I stayed and watched the game. I can't remember who the Boise State coach is. If he tells his guys to kick the ball out of bounds or if he himself will only throw like one pass every 6-7 calls, they win. They've got a heck of a weapon at running back that they used a lot, should have used more, and they just couldn't cover kicks.
Right.
Otherwise, that's a win. And Oregon struggled to beat Idaho the week before. So Oregon's a top 10 team that I keep hearing people, the national guys saying, oh, this could be the Big Ten champion, and they're going to maybe be the first or second, third best team in the country. And I'm seeing them struggle against Idaho and Boise State.
Do you buy Missouri? I don't know if I will buy them at all.
Missouri won't play a good team until they play A&M.
And we don't know about A&M yet.
And we don't know about A&M yet.
I think A&M's going to be of that tier. Whatever tier you want to call it. The third tier of the SEC is probably where they are. You think?
Yeah, probably.
Billy went through his tiers.
Until you start going out and actually winning close games against good teams, that's where you are.
So I think of the third tier teams, they are potentially the best of that third tier that could knock on the second tier.
Well, it depends on how many you're going to put in the first tier.
First tier's got to be just, I think, Ole Miss, Georgia, Texas, right?
It's the first, okay.
Okay, and then that next tier.
You're not going to put Alabama in the first tier?
I think they're knocking on that next tier.
So then
the next tier is Bama, Tennessee,
Missouri.
And I would tend to take Bama above those three.
Okay, all right. And then, so if that's how you're going to put them in tiers, then
and I'm kind of trying to remember what Billy phrased, how he had his tiers, but kind of the same ballpark.
Yeah.
I think he had Bama in the top tier.
Okay.
I think.
But
don't quote me.
Yeah, and A&M's always going to be that tier until you go out as a program and beat a good team. And quite frankly, I don't think A&M has that opportunity until they play Missouri. But to make that a chance to move up tier, that means you got to win your next 3 games starting with Florida.
Do you understand, and again, it does not matter, and we need to get to the performance of the week here in a moment on the other side of the break, but people's brains, the way they work, I should not get upset about it, because if you think LSU is worthy of moving up 2 spots for beating Nicole State, that's on you. If you think A&M shouldn't be in the top 25 because, okay, that's fine. Maybe it's because of perceived directions of the program, whatever it may be. But I'm not saying A&M should be in the top 25. I am not saying that. But I have a hard time understanding LSU, other than Brian Kelly being...
No, I got your answer.
Okay, tell me.
Yeah, Northern Illinois.
That ruined it all.
Yeah.
But why did LSU move up?
Because Utah won. USC won. So they lost by a 1-touchdown game.
To a really good team.
To what we think.
We don't even know, right?
That is 2-0 at a neutral site. A&M loses at home in a close game to an opponent that then goes out and loses to Northern Illinois. Mm-hmm. So if you're sitting there trying to come up with all the metrics to figure out how to vote, it makes sense now, doesn't it?
Yep. And then your big question about LSU is their defense, right? Your big question about A&M is their offense.
Hey, what about LSU? Not only do they have defensive issues, but the guy that's, I think, supposedly their number one, their best defensive tackle. They lost him for the year.
Guerrieri done for the year.
And defensive tackle was already a
thin position.
A position of concern even with him.
Yep.
They may lose to South Carolina and Rocket Sanders this week.
And remember when we were trying to figure out what games I was going to go to, and we looked at South. We don't need to go to South Carolina. May end up being a big game.
Not
They may
big.
be bigger than Auburn.
And
but I don't think we know.
And it's a good trip.
Yeah. All right, fine. I'll go. I'll see how it is. We'll hit a break. By the way, sign up today and get $50 instantly with Prize Picks when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. So what you need to do is join a bunch of us here at TexAgs at prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to get that guaranteed $50 once you play $5 in lineups. Also, here's another win for you. I did this last week, so I got 3 of my 5 correct. I should have done more, but I didn't. Every Caleb Williams passing yard, or if you get 1 Caleb Williams passing yard, you get to win on Prize Picks every week in September. That's 1 yard gets you an automatic win every football weekend, 4 weeks of free W's. So combine that with whatever you pick. If you pick for Connor to throw for over 200 against Florida, whatever it may be, when that comes out on Prize Picks, more than or less than, you'll be able to win. The website is prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs and start winning with daily fantasy sports. It's the best platform in America, the easiest, most exciting way. You basically are picking more than or less than of 2 of the 6 players' stat projections. PrizePicks.com/TexAgs, code TexAgs. This is your jam right here, Obi?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Yes.
chicken fry. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. I want to read this message because I actually kind of agree with you. So Ag Engineering 12 says, Nuño, I don't know how you can call us the best of the third tier when we barely a week removed from a loss to Notre Dame that lost to NIU a week later. Part of it is what I project us to be, getting better. But I get it. If you don't think so, that's fine. Like, I don't know if I'm sold on us being the top. I think we should, could, can, and hopefully will be that. But I understand as of today, if you want to use what happened to Notre Dame and us losing to Notre Dame, A&M losing to Notre Dame, I can understand that. I'm projecting what I think is going to happen over the next couple of weeks. And I think A&M is going to go to Florida and win. I do think, and by the way, for those who think I drink maroon Kool-Aid, I picked A&M to lose every road game last year because I wanted them to prove to me that they could win on the road. They have not done that yet. I had one guy said he stopped listening when I picked us to lose at Tennessee. Like, he legit said, I am never listening again. Good, I don't want you to. Actually, I do. Come back. But I think it's more projection / hope, if you will.
I'm not distracted now or anything. I think Notre Dame's going to win 10 games. Still.
Yeah.
So, teams sometimes aren't ready to play, especially after a big win. And that's what happened to Notre Dame. They're still a good football team. So, yeah.
Yeah, look, if you don't want to put them in that spot, I have no problem. And I think it's worthy of a discussion because A&M hasn't proven jack, right? I get all that. I do think the question marks that I had entering the season are starting to get answered. And the questions that I didn't think I had, like quarterback, like I didn't know if I was going to have a quarterback question this year. Now I need to see Connor do it against an SEC opponent.
Yeah, even with the loss to Northern Illinois, I think I would still be a little more impressed with A&M losing a close game to Notre Dame than, say, Oklahoma winning a close game against UH. Because I think Notre Dame, all things being equal, would go out and boat race UH.
Yeah, I agree. And I also don't think you can look at
Maybe not
one
boat
week
race. I think they'd beat them.
or one program versus one program and like copy and paste the thinking to another. Look, Notre Dame was ready to play that day, at least defensively.
Oh.
Or maybe A&M wasn't ready to play offensively, or both things happened. But you can't ignore that secondary was very good the year prior. You can't ignore that.
I think, look.
Marcus Freeman, I think, makes boneheaded decisions.
I don't think he's a very good coach. And you're not supposed to say that. But if you'll look at Notre Dame, they lose a lot of games against non-ranked opponents under Marcus Freeman. And that's, to me, you're just not getting your team. They'll beat ranked teams, and they'll lose to unranked ones. And to me, that's just the coach not getting his team ready.
Yep. Let's do some performances of the week. And I'm still in a weird place with choosing performances of the week. Until you beat somebody of substance, I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
But there were a couple of performances that I think were worthy of discussing. And I'm going to say Le'Veon Moss. I just like the way he runs.
He runs hard.
He runs hard. He did what he was supposed to do. And maybe that isn't worthy of performance of the week. To me, if we're going to have the segment, Le'Veon Moss is my headliner for that.
I don't know. He averaged, what, almost 8 yards a carry?
Yep.
Yeah, that's really good. I would say Connor Wickman.
He was efficient.
Bounced back, 11 of 14, 2 touchdowns.
Moss averaged 9.3 yards per carry.
9.3,
yeah. 9 carries, 84 yards.
Yeah, but I thought Connor was really good. I mean, if we're going to trash him, rightly so, when he played poorly, why not give him credit when he plays well? I thought he, and he ran pretty well as well. So I think Connor was very good in that game.
I'm going to say Will lead, not just because of the interception, but I just think in 8 quarters he's looked really good.
He's already made that real big concern at cornerback.
We feel better.
Much better.
Right.
Terry Bussey.
How many big plays have we seen over the last few seasons? We got one. Yes, I know it was against McNeese, but still.
It was well blocked, but he turned that corner, and it was over. And that's a guy that A&M has to figure out ways to get him the ball in space. And by the way, not only did he play quarterback last year at Timpson High School, so he's playing a new position, but he was playing defense up until about, midway through August?
Yep.
So he's really just getting his footing.
By the way, Nick, in our pre-show meeting, brought up the all 12-man kickoff team. That would have been a good one as well. It's cool. I love when we get to see that happen. We'll hit a break. We'll come back. We need to stay on the clock with Charean Williams on the other side. OB, today we're not going to have a love affair with meat, okay? We've done that.
I do that every day. But go ahead.
All right, you know what? If you could write not even a poem, just a sweet love letter to the fine meat at 1775, what would it say?
Well, you're putting me on the spot here, but
what are some adjectives?
If you gave me some adjectives like succulent.
I like that.
Yeah, you like succulent?
Yeah, I do.
Sumptuous.
I think that's another good one too.
I'm going to be like Brett Bielema. It's borderline erotic, and he looks like a guy that likes to eat a lot of meat.
He would probably like 1775.
Who wouldn't?
Do you think skinny people would like to eat at 1775?
Oh, yeah.
Marathon runners are like, let's go.
Sure.
After they run, they're like, look, I need some protein, but I also need some carbs.
You got to carb up. You got that mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese. Queso, mac and cheese.
Yeah, or mac and queso.
Featured in Texas Magazine's top 25 new barbecue joints and top 100 barbecue joints. Handmade desserts.
I think they're underrated. Oh, yeah, handmade by
which means you can use your hand to eat them.
Well, I do that anyway.
Well, this is true.
You
eat rice with your hands, yeah. All right, it is you use your hand for soup. I didn't expect that. That was good. Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until they're sold out. Online ordering turns off at 10 a.m. 979-492-6241, 1775 TXPBQ.com. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Let's go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. Boss Firearms provides high-quality firearms and components to their civilian and law enforcement customer base. See what they've got for yourself at bossfirearms.com. And we go to that Boss Firearms Hotline where we find Charean Williams of Pro Football Talk and, of course, our Aggie Hall of Famer. Good morning, Charean. How are you?
I'm good. How are we doing today?
We're well. So this has been my issue, this is what I'm struggling with internally. I saw some things that I liked against McNeese, but apparently I'm not allowed to like things against McNeese until they do it against a bigger opponent. And while I agree with that, I still think I saw some things that I liked against McNeese. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. And Connor Wegman, who was the lowest rated passer by PFF in the first week, was the highest rated passer in week 2. The throw he made, I think it was to Allen, that Allen dropped or had it stripped from him in the end zone, was a great throw. It's a fantastic throw, put it right where it needed to be. It should have been caught and held on, but the McNeese DB did a good job of pulling it out of there. But he just made some really good throws in that game that we didn't see in the first week. And I thought the offensive line did a fine job of blocking, and the running game was obviously on. But you're right. I mean, it's McNeese. We got to see it against a better team, against a Power 5 team, and that comes this week when you play an SEC team in Florida. And if they can do it this week, then I think we have something. You know, I think we're talking about, okay, this team's going to be okay. If they don't do that, then I think we're going to say, okay, it could be a long rebuilding season this year. Punter, highly upgraded at punter. We got to mention the punter. I mean, that kid's fantastic, and he didn't have to punt much in week 2, but we've really upgraded there. He's fantastic. And Will Lee, I thought, has been spectacular at corner. So, seen some things that just really, really liked that encouraged me about where this team's headed. But like you said, you got to do it against Florida.
What's the most encouraging thing that you feel about that you've seen from A&M through 2 games? Doesn't necessarily have to be the McNeese game, but just after 2 games, what gives you the most encouragement, if anything?
I don't know. I got to see it. I mean, I don't know that I've seen enough. I mean, after what Notre Dame did and laying the egg in week 2, I question how good Notre Dame is, which makes me question how good A&M is, if they're good at all. I don't know. So I can't really say, Olin, that I've seen anything that, the defense has played well in 2 games, I thought, but honestly, I expected that defensive line to get more pressure in 2 games than what they've gotten, more sacks than what they've gotten. I expected them to be around the quarterback all the time, and I haven't seen that. But the defense has been good in 2 games, and they've limited the points, and they've given you a chance to win, just what we said at the start of the season, and then it's up to the offense to find a way to score enough points to win. So I guess if I'm going to point to anything, it would be the encouragement of how the defense has played, keeping A&M in games.
Was there then what would be your primary concern?
I still think the offense. Can they score enough points? Because that Notre Dame offense is not very good. Notre Dame quarterback, I'm sorry, with all due respect to Mike Elko, is not very good. They're going to play some really good quarterbacks and some really good offenses, and the offense is going to have to generate more points than they did against Notre Dame, and obviously they did it against McNeese, but again, it's McNeese. So I think the offense is a concern. Can they score enough points in SEC games to win the game? That's my concern.
How winnable, in your mind, is this Florida game, considering Florida's not very good, but A&M hasn't won on the road since Missouri in 21, and also we have all these question marks about the offense?
Yeah, Florida could be good, if they commit, obviously, to the freshman. We just don't know how good he's going to be, and are they going to do with Johnny and put him in there and say, all right, it's your offense, then let's go, and so that scares me a little bit about what they're going to do at quarterback. Are they going to fully commit to him and let him go, and is he going to turn out to be like Johnny was in Johnny's first year? I don't know. but that concerns me a little bit. But yes, you got to go beat Florida. You absolutely have to win this game, and the team that doesn't win this game is in trouble. I mean, for Florida, it means probably a coaching change headed that way, and for A&M, it means all right, we're relegated to a rebuilding year is what it is. If you start out 1-2, I mean, facts are facts. So, I think we all probably overestimated this team a little bit, expected maybe a little bit more, but I still think I'm not going to compare them to Johnny's first year, but I think they could do that with this coaching staff. I think they're going to get better by the week. I think, but we have to see it. But I do think it's going to be like that year. The offense didn't click in that Florida game, in Johnny's first game, and then they just kept getting better and better and better and better and better all the way along. And we could see that. And I think with the coaching staff, that's what we're going to see, because they'll have tape to show them, hey, here's what we need to do. You have an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator and figure out exactly what his players can do. And you don't know that until you get in real games to see it. And now they have it on tape. So I think that's really going to help. But I do think they get better week after week after week after week.
Yeah, I expect it too. But that said, I don't think you can really feel good about the direction of this program this year unless A&M is 4-1 with Missouri coming to town and having a chance to beat a top 10 team.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I think that we would have said that before the start of the season, that it's 4-1. Now, I said on here, I thought they beat Notre Dame. I thought that would be one of the four. So, now you got to win the rest of them. There's no room for error. And if that's going to be your loss, hey, it's a non-conference loss. It's not going to hurt you. It's the first game of the year. It's a 12-team playoff. So go get to 4-1, and then we'll talk about the direction of this team. That's exactly what they have to do, and I agree with you completely, OB.
Sure, we got to get to Aggies in the NFL because we have a segment with Pass It Back Day with the folks from the Association of Former Students. But I know OB had a question for you about two Aggies.
Hey, yeah. So the Texas game. The Cowboys game. I want to ask you this: for that particular game, I'm not asking who's the best player, but who had the best performance? Which Aggie had the best performance in that game? Was it Myles Garrett or was it Donovan Wilson?
I think Donovan Wilson had the best game. Now, Myles Garrett was good. He didn't always get to the quarterback, but he had one sack. But I thought he played a pretty good game. He just needed some help there on that defense. But I thought Donovan was outstanding in that game. I thought he played really, really well. I thought he led that defense. And he had some hard hits, too, which really sends a signal, legal hard hits, which is hard to do in any league now with the way they're officiating it. But I just thought he really set the tone for that defense. And I completely forgot Ags in the NFL. I'm off sync. So let's just talk about a couple, can we? Is that
yeah, of course. However you want to do it.
I thought Jalen Jones for the Colts had a great game. And now he tipped the pass that Nico Collins caught there on the side. But I thought he played an outstanding game. I watched that entire game, and I thought he was really good. Devon obviously did Devon things in Miami, and it looks to me now he got a little dinged up in the fourth quarter and didn't play very much in the fourth quarter, and we'll see. He's on the injury report and was listed as estimated because they play Thursday night. Estimated as a non-participant yesterday, so that's something we're going to have to watch with him, and that's the worry with him, and that was the worry why I think he went where he went in the draft and wasn't higher is because of his size. There's a little concern, an injury concern there just because of his size, but played an outstanding game and did really what we've seen him do for his entire career at A&M and his entire career with the Dolphins so far. So he would probably be off the top of my head the number one player from the Aggies. And let's talk about Ryan Tannehill real quick. Packers obviously have a quarterback need. They're not going to get him right now. He's looking for the perfect, quote-unquote, perfect opportunity. He's looking for something like Joe Flacco had last season, where you're coming to a team that has a chance to make the playoffs and you lead them into the playoffs, which is what Joe Flacco did. That's what Ryan Tannehill is looking for. He will sign somewhere with somebody at some point, but it's not going to be the Packers. They've got a short-term need, and they're in a little bit of trouble now with Malik Willis as their starter, who just came in a couple weeks ago.
Charean, great work as always. And I'll just say this as we're hanging up. Dan Campbell and Dennis Allen both got wins this weekend, so props to both Aggie coaches.
Absolutely. Yeah, can't neglect to mention those two guys. Two outstanding coaching jobs this week.
Thank you, Charean. Talk to you next week.
Thank you.
Obie, thank you, buddy.
All right.
Appreciate you. Pass It Back Day, the Association of Former Students' annual day of giving support to the Aggie Network, celebrating the 9th annual Pass It Back Day, and in honor of the association's 145th anniversary, tracing its roots to the ex-cadets that formed in 1879. The goal for 2024 is a gift of 1,879 donors, right? 1,879 donors. Give a gift to the association of any size. Buy back missing years at 50% of the Century Club plaque. Invite friends to participate. Engage with the Aggie Network on social media and participate in one of the day's challenges like the Geographic Challenge, the Class Challenge, the Young Alumni Challenge, the A&M Club Challenge, the Constituent Network Challenge. It's a gift that helps out the association in support of the Aggie Network, in support of former and current students. To give back right now, tx.ag/PassItBackDay. That is tx.ag/PassItBackDay. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. It is Pass It Back Day. Got Scotty Walker in the house and Jake Carter, the head yell leader. Scott, obviously, class of 90, vice president over there. It's a big day.
Big day.
Every year we talk about it. Kind of give us your perspective of why it's such an impactful day.
Pass It Back Day. It is our annual day of giving at the Association of Former Students. Our goal this year is to engage 1,879 donors. That's in honor of the year of our founding, 1879. We turned 145 years old today. We're the oldest organization raising funds in support of Texas A&M University and Texas Aggies. Today's, we're just trying to spread the word as far and wide as we can, asking people to make their annual gift or make a second gift or buy a year bar. If you missed it in a prior year, you can get it for half price. If you can't make a gift, then just give us some lift on social, share it with your friends, just help us get the word out. The more we raise, the more good we can do for Texas A&M and Texas Aggies.
As a reminder, I had to buy some back some years. I need to keep buying back because I had a few years when I was a struggling journalist. I didn't make any money, right? So
I was there.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right? So I was like, all right, I need this, honey. We're about a couple years. Like, this is how we roll. So it's a good way for those of you who were just starting your careers that need to catch up, can catch up. Jake, talk to me about your perspective because, I mean, the most popular guy on campus, right? The head yellow. It's got to be. But this impacts you.
Absolutely, yeah. Very grateful to the association, everything they do for student organizations. I mean, they impact hundreds of organizations across campus, including myself and the Aggie Yell Leaders. I mean, they're to support us throughout the year, anything that we need. But they do so much for students. I mean, from putting on events like gathering for the class of 2028 this couple of weeks ago, to Ring Day for students. I mean, it really encapsulates the Aggie experience and what it means to be an Aggie. So I also have like a Ring Scholarship as well. So through donors that give their time and money to students like us to give back. I know one day for sure I'll be doing the same, so incredibly grateful.
You recognize that like the association, like what they do is, it's the association of former students, but like they're helping the current students and they're helping our former students.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's something that current students don't always realize, that the association is there to help them right when they come into A&M, and they're there to support them, and they put on a lot of events that they don't even realize and support them financially, which is super cool, and I think the association does an incredible job of.
Scotty, so some of these challenges, we got different times at the end. The geographic challenge. Yeah. Do we have like, I don't know if you have it, maybe Randy does, he'll tell me later, but like history, like who typically wins? I mean, I would assume Texas dominates.
Oh, for sure. I mean, 80% of Aggies live within 200 miles of the mothership here, so absolutely. I like the class challenge. That's always a fun one. And then the geographic challenge, the club challenge, I think Italy won last year.
Is that right?
The Italy A&M club, very active club.
Okay.
Great people. We love them. And the geographic challenge, the state-by-state thing, we're trying to get a gift from all 50 states. And usually it'll be a Montana or a North Dakota or something at 11:50 at night. We're going, who knows somebody in Montana?
Right. So. Minimum gift there is $100, $250 in matching funds for every state. Do you guys, are you kind of competing with the other classes yourself? Are you telling some of the other Yell leaders, like, you guys better step it up?
Absolutely, for sure, and posting it through our socials and stuff to spread the word out to current students as well. I know we're in college and it can kind of hard to give some money, but it made me proud mom and dad for a little extra help. Too.
Current students get a $100 Century Club membership for $25.
Oh, is that right? Okay. So,
and that's good for 3 years out, I think.
How does the day, I mean, I know you talk about the 11:50 part of it, but does it kind of, in the morning, people are having their coffee, oh yeah, why not? And then does it take a little lull, and then at lunch, they're right back at it?
There is definitely a rhythm throughout the day. Some of that is driven by where they see us on media or when they get an email from us. But there'll be a rush when people get off work and start paying attention to their personal emails that they didn't read during the day or whatever. So yeah, there's definitely a rhythm to the day.
Jake, if you could just talk to some of the folks out there, former students, and just kind of just remind them why this is so important to the current students and also to future students.
Right, I think it really comes back to what makes us Aggies, and that's the Aggie family and Aggie community. And that's giving back to a university that has given so much to myself and thousands of other current students. And I mean, truly, like when we travel around the country, people speak to how special this university is and how special our alumni base is. So that's why days like this is important, because to continue to give back to the Aggie family, and the students are the future leaders of this country. So invest in them, and that's what it's about.
Scott, any final thoughts?
Some of the challenges have dollar minimums, but any gift counts for Pass It Back Day. We say small gifts make a big difference. We're not asking anybody for $1 million. We're asking for small gifts from a lot of people that we can aggregate to make a big difference.
Scott and Jake, thank you very much. Appreciate you guys. We'll be talking about it throughout the program, especially on the 50 segments. We'll talk about it at the top of the next segment as well. Pass It Back Day. Visit tx.ag/PassItBackDay. It is TexAgs Live. And we're back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. By the way, before we do that, I got to welcome back Kurt. So Kurt on the YouTube page, I don't know if you saw this, Callie. Nuño, can you welcome us back after a break? I think I usually do, but he says, I keep focusing on work instead of your show, and that's not acceptable. Yeah, bro, like the show comes first. Aggie football comes first. Whatever you're doing with your widgets needs to stop. We go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. We're joined by the real McCoy, Jamie McCoy, here on the program. Jamie, good morning, buddy.
Good morning, David. How are you doing? First and foremost, I should say happy birthday, man.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you. The worst part of this whole situation is Jamie's one of the nicest human beings I know in the world, but he's now joined us in this pick six thing, and I think you're dominating, and I got some problems with that, Jamie, but I think you're doing pretty well on there.
Man, if anything, it's luck, because I know I've had the Aggies in some of those, and you know who I don't like did what they needed to do. So I'm glad I might be. I don't know what the standings are, but if I'm winning, hey, I'll take it.
Hey, I want to bring this up because I've been talking about feeling better after the McNeese State game and then feeling bad about feeling better because I'm like, McNeese is terrible. Like, they couldn't beat anybody. Like, they won one game last year, and it was a forfeit. This year, they've won a game where special teams on the southern side of things gave them the victory. And people are like, how can you feel like things are trending in the right direction? In fact, Derrick Henry on the chat said that exact thing. Like, I don't know what game you guys saw, but I don't feel any better. And I'm going to give you my why I feel better, and then you take it from there, all right?
Okay.
I feel better because in 10 games that Connor Wigman has played in, he's looked good in 8. That's why. Like, I'm not going to use Notre Dame as my barometer for his career unless I have to later. If he goes to Florida and he struggles with Arkansas, well, I'm going to reevaluate the way I look at him as a quarterback. But I'm not going to throw away the 8 games prior and be like, no, he's more like this quarterback in this one game than he is what I've seen for the most part in other games. I also do recognize, I don't know why I'm doing the pray thing, I do recognize that he hasn't beat big teams, and that's a problem. That's a team problem. It's not just a Connor problem. All right, so I spoke a lot. Can you kind of take my thinking and run with it?
Man, for me, I would say kind of piggybacking on you. We went out there this weekend and did what we were supposed to do. Not that McNeese State was any formidable opponent, but against teams like that, you're supposed to go out there and look good, get the job done early, have the backups come in, if not the third string, and have everybody kind of rest, be able to go get a beer if they want, eat some popcorn, do whatever you need to do with your kids. It's supposed to be let your hair down and just have a fun game, and that's what we got. Terrence was in town. He came to the game with me. He had his daughter with him, and we just had a great time. You love hearing the cannon go off multiple times, kids getting scared. That's what you want. What I would say, as far as the guy you said that, what are you guys happy about or whatever? I mean, I didn't have anything against Jimbo, but in the Jimbo era, or let's just say the last 2-3 years for Aggies, games like that, I give you Appalachian State. When you're supposed to beat somebody and win in a good fashion, we haven't been able to do that. It's like we would play down to the opponent. And games like we just had this Saturday, in the old scheme, we would have been up 17-7.
Yes. By the way,
21-7. You know what I mean?
We can actually look at history and look at that. Kent State 21. I know they ended up winning by a lot, but like at the half, I feel like it was like a 1-score game, maybe a 10-point game. Sam Houston a couple years ago. Like, this has happened before, and I'm not saying it to make me feel better. It is a fact that they didn't always come out and play well against these level of opponents initially.
Oh yeah, it was just good to go out there. And when's the last time you? I think for me, the last time we had a drive where we just went out there and scored quick was back with Cliff. Gosh, I forget. Was that under Sumlin? Johnny, the Johnny's Heisman year, where we went out and scored. What we have opening drive was 5 plays, 75 yards. We got in, got out, got a stop. That's how it's supposed to look when you play those opponents, and they're inferior opponents. But at the same time, if you don't handle business, then you have questions where you're saying, dang, how good are we going to be this year? Are we looking at 5-7 or whatever the case may be? So for them to go out there and handle business, I like it. And all it does is give these guys confidence knowing, okay, we can play. If we just go through our reads, go through our protections, do what we need to do, we should be able to, we're good enough athletes that we can see the results. So it was good just from that standpoint.
Well, and also, misery loves company. I'm not saying Derek's miserable. He's actually a very polite guy on the chat. He's awesome. But I do think, like, sometimes we don't want to be happy, right? Like, we just, everything sucks. And I think 2 things can be true. You can have questions about this football team and still think, all right, I saw some things from my quarterback that if it translates to a better opponent, I'm going to feel better. I still want to see some more separation from my wide receivers. But, I mean, I'm not going to add points to Connor, but I'm not taking away points from Connor either from what I saw against McNeese.
Yeah, anything trending in an upward direction is a positive for us, and it should be for all Aggies. Again, like we said, we keep beating a dead horse, but it wasn't the opponent. It was just having us go out there and see positive results and do something that mattered, do something good. I mean, it was good to see Moose get in there and get a touchdown. Noah did his thing. He had some catches. Cyrus getting the tight end. I like to see us get the tight ends more involved. But the running backs did well. The O-line looked good blocking. Again, wasn't against the best opponents, but just to have the cohesiveness of your O-line moving as a unit and moving furniture, getting guys out the way, that stuff is going to carry over. So we got a big task ahead of us this weekend. I wouldn't say the hugest, but for us to go out there and do what we need to do, what we're capable of doing. Both teams are 1-1. They put some bad stuff on tape. We know that it can be done. If we go out there and play our best balls, kind of similar to the ball that we played this weekend, I feel good about the Aggies' chances.
Well, let's fast forward to a week from now, because there's going to be two lines of thinking in the majority. If A&M wins, yeah, but you got to beat a real team, right? That's going to happen. And then, or if they lose, we'll be like, season's done. And I don't know if either one of those really is true in a first-year coach, and that's how I'm going to cope with it, right? Like, we all cope with it our own ways, but, like, in my opinion, I think they're going to win this weekend. I very rarely pick the Aggies. I don't think I picked them to win a road game last year other than the Miami game, and I learned quickly, like, that ain't going to happen in this regime. But I feel like I'm week to week with this team with an optimistic point of view until I don't need to have an optimistic point of view, right? So I'm going to look at this game against Florida like this is a winnable game, a very hard game to win on the road. But if Connor is pretty good and the wide receivers are pretty good, they're going to win, and I think they'll win by, hopefully a touchdown or more.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like our setup going into this. It's to me, it's a must-win for us, and I hope that the guys are going in there with that attitude. Like you said, it's been a couple of years since we won a meaningful game on the road, but I think the guys are absolutely capable of it. What I would like to see, I know that Elko is good. Elko reminds me a lot of Belichick, where he will, especially when it's a young quarterback, he has schemes and he does things that will confuse a guy, where he thinks he sees something pre-snap and post-snap is something completely different. So I'm not sure which quarterback they're planning to roll with. I know Lagway has a lot of talent, 5-star. If it does happen to be him, not that he doesn't have the talent to go out there and do something against our defense, but I think that Elko will have something up his sleeve to confuse him. And then not only that, we haven't got all the sacks that I've been expecting from our touted defensive line. And I know that it's just a matter of time. Once we get the run fits shored up, I think that once we make teams one-dimensional, get them in third and long, I think the sacks are going to pour over. So this would be an absolutely great weekend to get that thing jumped off. And I agree with you. I think that there's no reason they shouldn't come out there and win by 7, 10, if not 14. Miami did it, not comparing us to Miami at all, but we've got all the weapons, all the same talent, and I think we're hungry. They need to get this done for Elko.
Well, I'm going to get back to the sacks and stopping the run here in a minute, but since you brought up a couple years since they've won on the road, Luke told us the other day, but I went on Google and found out, you know how many days it's been since A&M has won a true road game? Days. Just choose a number, whatever number you is. Whatever number you choose. I'm going to go with
I'm going to say 910.
1,060.
Oh, gosh, I'm still off.
1,060, man.
Oh, that is not good. But stuff like that is set up. I mean, what will it be? 1,065 or I guess that would it be. If we can go ahead and break this thing, I mean, that's a good solid number to end it on. We don't need to stretch it any further than that.
Oh, man. Let's get back to your point about the sacks. So that's one thing Coach Elko spoke about yesterday was that he's actually not so concerned with the number of sacks because he feels that they are affecting the quarterback. You know what that feels like, right? When you're trying to block these guys and how it can affect the rhythm and the timing of a quarterback. Maybe the sack numbers aren't there, but he doesn't seem too concerned about that just yet.
Oh, I think he's absolutely right. They're not there, but like you said, he's the quarterback is being hurried up, and not only that, these coaches. I mean, we used to say all the time in NFL, you know, coaches would get on you for doing something on offense, and you like, man, this guy's getting paid too over there. Like I'm going up against another quality opponent, and same thing goes for these guys coaching. They know what type of defensive line we have, so a lot with Notre Dame and not so much with the McNeese State, but these coaches are coming into this saying, hey, this D-line is good. We have to scheme things to get the ball out of our hands quick. Now, what's going to help us as Aggies is being efficient on first and second down, which is a lot of this is coming back to the run fits that Mike Elko is talking about. If you're efficient on first and second down and you can get a team in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 10 plus, that's when they have to do a 3-step, 5-step drop and get back there. And that's where the sacks come. That's where the interceptions come. So that's what I'm going to be looking for as a fan watching. I'm going to absolutely be cooking something this weekend. We got a big UFC night too. But I will have something on the pit, and I'll be looking on defense at that first and second down. Can we stifle their run game? I know with them watching film on us, they have to be saying, we got to get the run going to beat these guys. So it's going to be a battle of, can they run the ball or can they not? And if they can't, I think the sacks will flow. I think the Aggies will prevail.
Talking to Jamie McCoy on the Boss Firearms Hotline. Let's talk a little bit about the tight ends. Have you seen anything that you like? You know, Theo's getting the ball. He had a pancake. Just the group in general. Trey Watson, I really like what I'm seeing. Just from that group, what have you seen?
I love Trey Watson. That first opening series against Notre Dame, that catch that he got, I want to see more of that, getting him involved. He's a big body. I love that he doesn't mind blocking and helping combo with the offensive line. So that's a big plus for us. And then Theo, he's the athletic build. I'd actually like to see us doing more of getting them both on the field and kind of, I know we want to see Connor air it out, but I love to see us come out and impose our will and put 2 tight ends out there and just kind of the old Pittsburgh Steeler fashion, which I got the shirt on now. You know, Coach T, the standard is the standard. In that fashion, putting 2 tight ends on the field and just saying, we're running the ball. Y'all know we about to run the ball. Can you stop it? And I think that would do wonders for Connor in the passing game. So yeah, with the tight ends, Theo, and who knows? I love to see Donovan get involved as well. This maybe after this game against Bowling Green, it might be a good chance to start getting him siphoned in there. But no, I love what I've seen so far from the tight ends. I just wish we would utilize them a little more. I know we want to get our receivers involved much more than they have been, but I think if we mix it around and get everybody involved, it's just going to do wonders for everybody as a whole.
Terry Bussey, he's a guy that, you know, played quarterback in high school, thought he was going to play cornerback for A&M. Camp starts, they need him at wide receiver. He is so versatile. He didn't play at the highest level of high school ball, yet you see talent. You know there's talent. I feel like it's just a matter of time. And really, we saw it in this past game, obviously his 65-yard touchdown. So just what have you seen from Terry Bussey and what's your excitement level with his future?
I've just seen electricity. I know he hadn't really got to get going. I mean, the touchdown was great. I've seen him kind of itching to actually get him a good return like Aniyah Smith had for us the last 2-3 years. Once we're able to pin somebody deep, you know, on their side of the field and we get an actual kickoff and a good blocking scheme, I love to see what he do after making 1 or 2 guys miss early and see how electrifying he could be on the field. But I know that he can be a great weapon for us, especially with all the concerns of receivers not getting separation. I just want us to stop being predictable when we put him on the field. It seems if I'm the other coach, I'm saying, oh, yeah, look, 2's on the field. Here comes the jet sweep. Maybe fake the jet sweep. I'd even love to see him to come back on a tunnel screen or something like that. Just find creative ways to get him involved. And even if not that, like I've always preached, put him on the outside and let him beat somebody on a fade. A fade is the simplest route. The quarterback can put it where we come down with it or it's thrown out of bounds. And I love to see his athleticism and him go up and get one. So I know he's a great player. I know he has a lot that he can offer, a lot of boosts of energy that we could use on offense. So plug him in, give him 5-6 plays that you know are dedicated to him where he's the first read, and let's see what he can do.
Talking to Jamie McCoy here on TexAgs Live. Jamie, I don't think you ever played. In fact, I know you did. You didn't play at the Swamp ever, but you know what it's like to go play in some harsh conditions. So talk a little bit about the mental approach for a team that has struggled on the road, more than struggled, and having to play at a place that they're going to be desperate. And the fans are also, if you think we're desperate, they're just as desperate or more.
I think of it in this aspect, and I hate to go back to Coach Tomlin, but he always had a phrase where the next team, it didn't matter what they did, it mattered what you did. He called them nameless gray faces. And that's kind of how I want to picture this thing going into the Swamp. It's not so much the environment that dictates what goes on. It's what you do as a team and how you control the controllables. I know that it may be loud, especially with us being on offense. Defense should have a better feel of getting things in order with the offense, their offense being on the field and not being as noisy. But for us, you kind of invite that environment. You got everybody against you. You kind of roll in there as a team. You get off the buses. You got your little bit of A&M section in the stands, but it's kind of us against the world. And I think as an offense, we need to kind of invite that and say, hey, we don't mind being the bad boys this weekend. Let's go in here. It's kind of fun to go into those environments and kind of shut the crowd up, silence the noise, and not necessarily make everybody upset, but get them guys leaving the game at halftime, third quarter, if not. So I think this is an opportunity that they welcome. And again, I'm just excited for them to go out there and show what I know that they can be, and I know that they want to be. They just got to put it on tape.
Jamie, what does a win do for the vibe? What does a loss do for the vibe?
Oh, a win leaves the door open for all the optimism that all of us love to feel. A win leaves that playoff speculation there, and it just gets you to another week of a winnable game next week, and it gives you hope. A loss is detrimental. A loss gets you being the butt of the jokes. A loss back here in Texas just gets you up. Same old Aggies, here they go again. Which I know that the team doesn't feel that as much as the fan base and the alumni, but I wish that you can't do it because you're obviously in the moment and you're on the team. But if they could feel what we feel as fans going into work, going into whatever environment that you might be in and have to go into that, if they knew what we expected from them and needed from them, I think they play with a little bit more urgency. So a loss, we just can't have it just because what we got going, what Elko means, what this would do for Elko. I think a win would just be a shot in the leg, just a boost of adrenaline for us.
Jamie, great stuff as always, my friend. Thanks so much.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, David. Have a great birthday.
Hey, by the way, who's going to win this weekend? UFC. You mentioned you're going to watch. I'm all about it. All about it. O'Malley?
O'Malley wins. And I love Alexa Grasso.
Yeah.
But I think the Bullet gets her belt back. It's been 3 years now. They've been stretching this thing out. I think she gets her belt back, but I'm going with O'Malley.
All right. What about the Ortega-Lopez fight? Are you familiar with that one? Diego Lopez. He's that guy with the weird hair.
Diego, he's a monster, man. He's good grappling. He's good everywhere, but he's just tough and tenacious. I would absolutely take him. I know he's on Grasso's side, but I'm taking Shevchenko, and then I'll take Diego.
Hey, we're going to watch a fight together soon, all right?
Okay, let's do it, man.
All right, man.
Have a good one.
You too. Jamie McCoy here on the Boss Firearms Hotline. We'll hit a break here. When we come back, we'll talk to Coach G a little soccer here. Right now, though, FBS Appliance and their team of experts are here to help you with the appliances that make your house a home. They have all the brands that make your life better, right? They're going to have the ones that you want, and they can fit your budget for sure. They want to be your trusted appliance store. They pride themselves on offering a comprehensive solution that sets them apart from all the competition. They specialize in providing top-notch sales and installation services with all the leading brands, ensuring a seamless experience for all of their customers. They're committed to delivering that exceptional experience from start to finish. you can trust them to provide unparalleled service. They have 8 showrooms across Texas. You can visit them online at factorybuilderstores.com. That is factorybuilderstores.com. It's FBS. We're back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Got Coach G in the studio. Good week, my friend.
Thank you. I think we talk about trying to, just kind of, you learn from situations. Sometimes you learn from losses as much as you learn from wins. But right now we're learning from wins, and that's a
much better place to be, right?
It sure is. You have a different kind of a different momentum when you're on a winning streak. And we've talked about with the players that let's get ourselves on a run. I'm sure it's the same thing football's talking about. Now it's time to kind of get ourselves on this this roll, and let's kind of get this roll going. One more week to get into the SEC. Let's keep that momentum going through the SEC portion of the schedule.
I asked Coach Elko this, and I'll ask you, because when a coach takes on a team that you should beat, by the way, TCU is excellent, and we know how those matchups have been, but just in general, when you're taking on a team that you should beat, how much can you take away from a team you should beat?
Well, I don't know. I mean, were we favored in that game? I don't know. I mean, they're nationally ranked. We weren't at the time.
Notre Dame, yes, but I was talking about just like McNeese and in general when you take on teams that maybe that you're a higher level of team.
Right. So what's the question again?
So when you take on a team that is maybe not at your same level, what can you take away from it? What are you looking for?
Well, you're looking at standards of how are you keeping your foot on the gas? Are you lowering your standards to what they do? Are you playing down to their speed? Are you allowing them to do what they're trying to do? So, for example, for us, we played against La Tech, who we outshot them 30-2. Now we only converted two of those chances. So, what are the things that we're learning from that? Obviously, finishing our chances is a high priority for us as we prepare to go up to Connecticut this week. So that's one thing. Obviously, I thought, and I told the coach for the Bulldogs that I thought that their organization was excellent because they made it a little bit difficult on us. But those are the things that when you go in there and you look at it, like, did we keep the pressure on them? Absolutely. They got a shot about 80 seconds into the game, and then we held them for the most part for the next 88 minutes without getting a shot. In the TCU game, they didn't get a shot for the first 45 minutes. For the entire first half, nationally ranked team, we held them to nothing. And that's a really good standard for us to be able to hold. So, and those were some of the things that we talked about is the intensity that we wanted to go out there and play. We wanted to, the proverbial play with your hair on fire, and then use the depth that we have, the quality of depth that we have, to then make substitutions and keep that fire burning as much as we possibly can. And that was one of the biggest things I would say that we checked that box this week, is that we kept the other team as uncomfortable as possible. And Thursday night the atmosphere was awesome. Even Sunday was a good atmosphere out at Ellis Field. So we're excited about what the 12th man has been able to do for us. When we come back, which this is we're going to go on the road for 2 games in Connecticut this weekend. Never been to Connecticut. That'll be a different experience. And then we come back and start the SEC portion on the road at Mizzou. So 3 road games all north of I-70, and then we come back and we have our big charity game against the Tournament Gold game against OU, which will be a big important game. So can we take this momentum now? 2 games. Can we make it 3 games? Can we make it 4 games? Can we make it 5 games to get home to get that SEC portion going?
Especially defensively, I got to think, like, you have 180 minutes straight of not giving up a goal, and more than that, but the last 2 games. And like how that becomes a pride thing. Like, we got to do it again. We got to do this again.
Right. And it's not just our goalkeeper. So Sid Fuller is the freshman of the week in the SEC, which is awesome. She's on, national team of the week and all this. It's kind of cool. We're the only team in America that has 3 goalkeepers that all have a shutout win. I mean, that's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
Most teams are just banking on 1, and it just kind of shows the core of goalkeepers that we have. And I thought that Grace McMillan was awesome on Sunday. But it's not just about our goalkeepers. It's about the way that we defend from the front. When we lose the ball, how are we counter-pressing and immediately making other teams sweat? And that comes down to a lot of our players that grew up not really thinking about defending. They're only thinking about attacking situations and being creators. But we want them to think about pressing. And we talk about the similarities between soccer and basketball. And again, one of my big heroes growing up, or coming through college actually, was Nolan Richardson. The 40 Minutes of Hell. And that's what we're talking about, that just intense pressure that you want to inflict on the other team, and that pressure to make them cough up the ball so you don't have to go 100 yards with the ball. You might go 20 yards with the ball to be able to bang, bang, and score. And that's the kind of thing that we're trying to inflict on our opponents, to make their life hell as much as possible because of the all 11 players, not just a great goalkeeper, which we have.
One of the things that I love about that 40 Minutes of Hell is it translates to most sports in any era. You can do this in the 1960s, the 1980s. You can do it today in women's soccer, in basketball. It doesn't matter. This is it's a mentality, right?
That's right. That's right. And again, it's staying switched on. It's keeping your mentality switched on. It's not just, okay, well, I think, what is it? What was the thing with Bugs Bunny and Bill Murray, the movie? I don't do defense. Well, we do defense. We play offense and we play defense. But it's more fun to play offense, more fun to have the ball. So let's work like heck to get the ball back, and then we can be creative again. But let's get the ball back as soon as we possibly, because we're going to lose it. We're humans. Right. We're going to make a little mistake here and there, but let's be automatically triggered that we're going to get that ball back as fast as we can. So you talk about great teams around the world. What did Jurgen Klopp have Liverpool doing? Immediately counter-pressing. What does Pep have Man City and Barcelona and Munich doing? They automatically are counter-pressing to get the ball back, and those are characteristics of champions.
Let's close out with this. I know you don't want to talk about yourself, but 514 wins as a head coach, 4th all time. You've got to be proud. I know you'll look back later, but right now, just kind of looking at this amazing career of yours.
It's been cool, but again, it has been. It's been awesome, and but again, you look at the people that are around me, and success comes from the people that I'm able to surround myself with. I talk all the time that I'm the luckiest guy and I am, and I'm lucky because I've been so fortunate to be here at Texas A&M. Thank God my wife is an Aggie, and the Aggies take care of Aggies. But Phil Stevenson's been with me for a long time. That's a big key to my success. And the people that we've been able to draw here to Texas A&M, those are some incredibly successful people. We're coming up on almost 500 wins here as a program here at A&M. That's a big reason for a lot of those wins, and for numbers being associated with my name. And I'm pretty darn lucky to be a part of that.
Good luck in Connecticut, sir.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you very much. That is Coach G here as they get ready for their road trip. Bird Dog, I think I talked to you guys about them yesterday. Jonathan Lusk was here in studio. He's an Aggie. He owns this amazing...
He's married to a former Aggie soccer
One of your former players. That's right.
That's right, Cat Cranberry.
That's right. Well, not only is he in the family, he was a former Yale leader. He's got this amazing company that's an Airbnb, basically, for hunting. Streamlined booking process, making it easy to find and book hunts, transparent and easy. Easy for landowners to get more hunters and make more money. They provide full-service hunting experience for corporate groups and friend groups. They handle all the logistics so you can just focus on fellowship and having fun. Currently partnered with 60-plus ranches, and that's growing daily. They've got ranches in Africa. They got ranches in Mexico. You name it, they're a part of that amazing community. Pretty soon I'll be announcing a hunt that I'm going to be a part of that you all can be a part of as well. Check out the website, birddogit.com. That is birddogit, I-T. BirdDogIt.com is Bird Dog. We are back here on TexAgs Live with our KBTX Roundtable. We've got Travis Brown, who made his debut last week. What's up, buddy?
How's it going?
Morgan Weaver, hello.
What's up?
Nicole Griffith, fist pound from far away. How are we feeling? Okay, so I'm drinking maroon Kool-Aid apparently because I liked what I saw from McNeese. Travis, I'm going to start with you. They did everything they were supposed to do, and I'm not going to read too much into it. But I'm not going to allow myself to look at the Notre Dame game as this is who Conor Wegman really is. Take it from there.
I mean, I think Mike Elko was right. If you look at the majority of Conor Wegman's starts, he didn't have foot issues. He made better decision-making throughout his progressions. I think the Notre Dame game was kind of it was the exception, not the rule, because he was literally, if you look at Pro Football Focus, the worst quarterback in the country last week and the best quarterback in the country this week. I know competition is part of that, but yeah, I think it was the exception, not the rule.
Morgan?
I agree with Travis a little bit, but I think you have one end of the spectrum against Notre Dame and one end against McNeese, and I think you might find the average against a team like Florida this week. I mean, he went, 11 for 13, 11 for 14, 2 touchdowns. I mean, that's expected against a team like McNeese. So I'm not going to take too much away from it because it was the competition, but I think we'll see more against Florida.
So, Nicole, I'm happy with what I saw, but I got to see it against a higher quality team. But I'm not going to say it's not going to happen just because of that one game.
Yeah, and I think what was interesting is that we only saw him for, they brought in the second string, in the second quarter. I thought they were going to play Conor. I thought once they scored on their first 3 drives, and I was like, all right, this is going to be a long game because I didn't think they were going to bring in the second string maybe until the second half, third quarter. So, but it's such a confidence boost for A&M and for Conor to go into this Florida game. If they came in and maybe didn't put up 50 points, it didn't take care of business right away, and it was more of a struggle, was having some of the same issues. I think Florida people will be a little nervous, and they haven't won a road game since Elko was here.
1,060 days.
Who's counting?
Hey, look at your face.
That's wild.
You knew that number, right? That's
Missouri, right?
Missouri.
2011.
October 16th, 2021.
I was here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the week after we all celebrated on Kyle Field. Well, at least I did. So let's talk a little bit about what did improve and what you need to see improve. Morgan, start us off. What improved in your opinion?
The run game.
Okay.
The run game improved. It was nice seeing them put up. It was 5 rushing touchdowns total. 4 of them coming from Le'Veon Moss and Amari Daniels. That's encouraging to see. The run defense needs to improve. I know me and Travis talked a lot about this yesterday. It was a topic at the press conference, just what their average, letting 189 yards per game. That's not going to fly against SEC teams.
Well, Elko said it was pretty terrible.
Yeah, he admitted it. He's like, this is bad.
Well, Travis, it's bad, and especially at the end of the game, on 2 different games, different group at the end of the McNeese State game. But I do think, and Billy's pointed this out a few times, it's really 5 or 6 runs that have done it. It hasn't, it doesn't feel like it's trending in that direction until they break off a big run.
It's chunk plays. I think there was 6 runs for 176 yards against Notre Dame that made up a whole lot of the what Mike Elko was saying was terrible. It was, it's easy to call out because it was the touchdown, but it's the one Torian York missed tackle that all of a sudden they were able to get 20 more yards past the line of scrimmage and get a touchdown. So, it's exactly like Elko said. Run defense is every person on that 11-man team has to do their job, and if one person doesn't fit the right gap or one person misses a tackle, the whole thing can crumble down. The run defense actually doesn't worry me because I think that they have the right players, the right intelligence of that defensive front that they're going to get it fixed out, get fixed. But yeah, it's the chunk plays. It's just minimizing 5 or 6 plays in a game, and all of a sudden it's a really good run defense.
Nicole, is this the game we see sacks? Because they've been close.
I hope so because it's been 1 over 2 games and I feel like we just keep saying 2 very different talents. But Florida, they have the I won't say quarterback issue, but they might have 2 quarterbacks, or Graham Mertz coming off concussion protocol, I think. And then, so I hope so. I think that they're going to have to, the defense and the offense, they're going to bring their own juice. The Swamp's going to be it's going to be packed and it's going to be a 2:30 primetime slot. So hopefully this is when the defense, is like, okay, like we've shaken the rust off. We've had good opponent, bad opponent. It's SEC road game. We got to bring it.
So who has to play well next to Connor, like to get those offensive stats, Morgan? Who do you need to see step up offensively?
I think since we already touched on the run game a little bit, I think they proved themselves this last week. I'd like to see, I think the wideouts had a great game as well, so I'd like to see a little bit more from them against Florida next week.
Trev?
I like to see the offensive line continue to do what they've been doing. I think that was the biggest question mark coming into the season, was how well they were going to progress. I think Amaj Reed-Adams has done a really good job of kind of solidifying things in the middle, and Coley Fayu has been really good at
You said
center.
it.
I know. I just stick with Coley, though. Coley Fayu. So, yeah, I think the offensive line just needs to continue to do what they've been doing, and that's going to be pretty solid.
As a group, let's discuss the big questions coming into this season were the offensive line, the DBs, and special teams. Okay, I feel like
I'm not worried about those anymore.
Right. So right now, the biggest concern might be if the wide receivers can get open, and if Connor, which version of Connor do we get? The one game that we saw against Notre Dame, and if you want to bring up the Auburn games, okay, or the other Connor, or as you said a moment ago, somewhere in the middle. What do you think?
Yeah, I think to me right now the biggest question mark is the wide receivers, is the ability to get separation, the ability. I know Mike Elko said there is a number one guy in there, but to kind of figure out who that's going to be, I was, if you would had me guess before the season, it was going to be Noah Thomas for me. Right now, I think Cyrus Allen has been probably the guy who's been the most effective. So I'm going to keep my eye on the wide receivers and see how much separation they can get against an SEC defense.
All right, big three observations. We're bringing it back, the most famous segment of all time.
Prepared.
What? I sent you an email.
I know. You sent me an email.
Delete spam. Nicole, you have any observations you want to give us?
Yes. So I wrote them down.
Oh my goodness!
With my notes.
So prepared.
Not on this paper, but I'm just pretending like this is my paper that I wrote down. Terry Bussey averaging 65 yards a carry.
Is it that? I feel like they stopped him in the first game, but we'll take it.
No, after this one game.
Oh, one game, 65 yards a carry. Okay.
So if he can just keep that average up, that'd be great.
That would be awesome.
Mike Elko getting his first win. I don't know if you saw it, but we have it on our cameras. But when Elko was sawing him off, all the cameras are around him, and the cameras just swarm at the end of the game. And he said afterwards, he goes, "That can't not have been that important that you guys stayed on me that long," because everyone just stayed on him. So it's funny seeing him be playful with the cameras. And then big three, third takeaway, just I got to see the defensive line come up with a sack.
Give us something.
For me, okay. Cyrus Allen, we mentioned him. Yep. He looked really good. He was a target, like the main target for both Connor and Marcel. The DBs look great, specifically Will Lee, the third, coming up with 2 interceptions in that game. That's awesome. And then the third, I would say, is just the accountability still. Everybody's taking accountability. I mean, Shamar Stewart said it yesterday. Mike Elko said it yesterday. The run defense isn't good. I love seeing the accountability still throughout the season.
Trav, you got 3?
Sure. Let's go run defense, making sure everybody's fitting the right gaps and just staying solid there. I actually don't think, especially if DJ Lagway plays, I don't think sacks are going to be a big issue here because he is a mobile quarterback. Tackles for loss and pressures will be equal to sacks in a game like this if he plays more than Mertz does. Kind of like with Riley Leonard, just getting that pressure on him, making him have to make some decisions under pressure, I think will be huge. And then just looking at making sure Connor's footwork is still the same, and that, like we said, it was the exception, not the rule.
Friends, thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
When we come back, a little more from the Association of Former Students. It is Pass It Back Day. More of that on the other side. Right now, your car wash tradition with the friendliest staff is Aggieland Express Car Wash. They have 2 great locations. You got the William D. Fitch location, and you got the brand new one there on Texas Avenue across from the Planet Fitness. They have all the services you want, but the one on Texas Avenue's got the full service option, which is the Aggieland team will take care of everything: cleaning, drying, vacuuming, Armor All interior. And for a limited time, they're inviting you to try it for half price. It's normally $40. They'll do it for $20 as long as you tell them that TexAgs sent you by. But we're going to give a free one out right now. 979-693-1150. The first caller will get themselves a free car wash from Aggieland Express Car Wash there at the Texas Avenue location is Aggieland Express Car Wash. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. It is Pass It Back Day. Got my guy Randy in the house, Randy Reyes, class of 01. What's up, buddy? Twice in one day. Cade Coppinger, student body. Why are you bringing like everybody's got to be a stud or like super smart or both? Like,
well, the truth is, I mean,
what's Aggies?
This is Aggies, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. We used to be studs and cool too.
Well, I don't know about me, but
Cade, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So I'll start with you. Just your thoughts on what's happening today.
Yeah, absolutely. The Pass It Back Day, we get to talk about the association and just kind of giving back to what they do. And it's been, I mean, especially in my role, I feel like I get to see firsthand how they invest in the students and the student body. And so I'm really excited to be here and talk about it.
Yeah, and can you feel their impact? Can you actually feel it, like everything that they're doing on campus?
Absolutely. I feel like every time that we have anything that goes on, they are always right in the middle of the mix and always willing to help out. One of the first calls that we may have. And so definitely been one of the more impactful areas that we see, whether that be big event, any areas on campus that you would see like big student involvement, there's some sort of fingerprint within the association within that.
Randy, how can people get involved?
TX.AG/PassItBackDay. I mean, number one, of course, we'd love a gift if people are willing and able to. But also just share the word. I mean, we're doing this all day long. You're going to see it on social. We're going to be sending out emails. We're obviously here. We've been on KBTX all day this morning as well. Tell your friends, encourage them to give if they haven't. At the end of the day, it's the power of the Aggie Network. It's really just everyone coming together, and it's a gift, monetary gift, but also sharing the word.
So I saw the number before I read, 1,879. That's the number, the goal that you're trying to hit of how many donors.
Right.
Tell the folks how that number came about.
Yeah, so we're celebrating our 145th anniversary or birthday. So we were founded in 1879, which is 3 years removed from when the university was founded. And so just a nod back to that. For us, again, it's not so much about the dollars, but it's about the donors. And if we can show that we can pull at least 1,879 donors to give today, then we're doing great. Hopefully we have a lot more, but that's sort of our goal today.
Help us understand where the gifts go.
I mean, they go to a number of places. I mean, you talked to Scott earlier on, current students, former students. We're helping Cade and his group on campus, but all the way to, musters around the world, club reunion or class reunions, A&M clubs, gatherings, things like that. All the Aggie Network gets supported by the association.
Can you speak a little bit to how it's grown too? Because this is an event that people look forward to. They almost wait, I'm gonna help out the association now, but I'm really helping out this day, and then they also can benefit from that as well.
For sure, yeah. I mean, this actually started 9 years ago. We started, I believe, it was on Giving Tuesday. That was kind of the start to it. But what we found is there was just a lot of different organizations giving on Giving Tuesday and asking for dollars. And so, of course, we said, let's do something different. Let's sort of buck the trend, and we started Pass It Back Day. And so, again, it's really just about showing the power of the Aggie Network and encouraging Aggies to give and to show that they do care about other Aggies.
Do you remember, Cade, that when you first learned about the Association of Former Students and that the fact that they weren't just helping former students, they were helping the current students, that's a big part of their focus?
Yeah, absolutely. I always kind of think in my head, I joke with even some of the staff is current students that recognize the association and what they do make exceptional former students as well. And I think I remember stepping into student body president, I was a little confused. I was like, what are we, what's the interaction here? And I've gotten to see it just in full form of the way that they deeply care about the student body, the way that we've gotten to see the interaction with former students that want to continue to invest in us, but also whether that be any of the events or anything that goes on campus. It's been great to see the way that the association has their kind of touch points anywhere that we have it.
We got about 30 seconds. I'm just curious, how does one decide, you know what, I'm running for student body president? How does that, is that something you always thought about?
No, if you would have asked me if I would have came on campus, I would have said absolutely not. But you can ask Callie. I remember we were on cabinet together whenever I was a sophomore, and I just had a couple guys that said, hey, you might be great on this. You should come on cabinet and join us. And I did that and just found that would be something that I'd love to get back to the university. I really, really care about this place. And so it was just something that I picked up, and it worked out, and really excited about this next year.
Randy, again, tell the folks how they can get involved.
Yeah, so tx.ag/PassItBackDay. Aggies helping Aggies. He hit on it right there. I mean, that's the best thing that we can do today. Again, if you can give. If not, spread the word, and we'd appreciate it.
Awesome stuff. Cade, Randy, thank you very much.
Thanks,
appreciate
sir.
You both.
Appreciate it.
When we come back on TexAgs Live, Jordan Pugh, he keeps it real. That's coming up next here on TexAgs. I think one day our next guest and I need to do just like a 3-hour show because he spits truths all the time. Let's keep it real with Jordan Pugh here on TexAgs Live. We go to the Boss Firearms Hotline, and we're joined by JP. I don't like the way it sounds when I say JP. Let's talk to Jordan Pugh. Jordan, good morning, buddy.
Hey, man, you call me whatever you want to, man. And I'm down to do a 3-hour show. As long as I get permission from the wife, I'm good to go, man. You know what I mean?
Well, so same thing I kind of talked to Jamie about, I want to talk to you about. Like,
okay.
I don't want to be a miserable person, right? I don't want to be just mad for 2 weeks because A&M lost to Notre Dame. And I'm not, by the way. I'm not. But I am also not going to allow the Notre Dame game to not make me feel at least a little okay with what I saw against a terrible opponent in McNeese. But I'm also not going to look at McNeese and be like, it's all figured out, guys. Yay, we're going to go 11-1. I'm not doing that either. But I can still look at that game and be like, all right, I see hopefully where we're headed. So you, who tells the truth every time, you don't play the BS game. How do you feel about this team after what you've seen in the last 2 weeks?
I feel good. Like, look, so here's the thing. Defensively, they did almost what I wanted them to do. Last time I was on the show, I said, I want to see a shutout because that's what they're capable of defensively. Got close to it. We know there's some garbage points that they got in the end, but overall, I was pleased with the defense. Offensively, you're looking at the rushing game. Tell me if I'm wrong. What is it? Over 300 rushing yards on the day against McNeese. So that's impressive. I don't care.
333.
Right. Okay. There you go. So that's impressive no matter who you're playing. Here's my concern. My concern is the pass game. When I looked at Connor, I think it was less than 150 in passing yards. I think that we got to get more explosive in the passing game. The first game I thought was a bad game. This game with Connor, I don't know if it's just trying to get him in rhythm, but I didn't see the offense open up as much. I would like to see like the all 22 tape, but looking at it from the TV copy, it looked like they were being very conservative, winning easy one-on-one routes, intermediate concepts. I didn't see anything that was overly threatened downfield as far as concept-wise. So I don't know if that's more so just trying to get him in a rhythm, trying to get his confidence back after the first game. We're saving something a little bit for SEC play. That could be a possibility. But I'm not disappointed. I'm not concerned, but I am alert to the fact that the passing game has got to improve in order for us to get where we want to go, in order for us to improve like we want to, in order for us to make a dent in the SEC, we got to be more explosive in the pass game. So that's my biggest takeaway from this weekend. Defense looked good, offense looked good, but offense is not excelling at the rate of the athleticism that we have on our team.
I'm going to read you the stat that Ag Engineering 12 just put up on the TexAgs chat. When Elko was a DC here, A&M was 7-8 on the road. Okay. After they've 0-7. All right. I think it's actually more than that. I think it's more than 0-7. For comparison, 12-3 at home versus the SEC when Elko was here. 4-3 after he left.
Well, you already know what our road woes have been. Look, the thing that I like is this: defense always travels. Okay, defense travels. So I'm encouraged by the defense. When you look at what the offense did and how explosive we were in the run game, that's something that travels as well. So you see the progression, you see what they fixed going into week 2. Now week 3, you got to put it all together. The one thing that I think we can do is I think we can exploit Florida in the pass game. I think we can run the football on them because out of the 2 matchups I've seen with them, I'm not impressed with their the defensive line play. I don't think that they're dominant at any set position, and I think we can exploit them in that facet. So hopefully they open up the playbook more offensively. They get the pass game going, but defensively, I think we'll play well. You're looking at the road record that we've had in the past, and what Elko was done, they'll have it tight-knit. He'll have everything under control from that standpoint. So I'm encouraged going into this game. I just want to see certain aspects, man. That we're getting into SEC play. You got to be able to open this thing up. And hopefully we'll get to see that this week.
So what does this game mean for several things, for A&M and the rest of the way? What it means for Connor and what he is going to be projected to be for the rest of the season? How important is this Florida game against a wounded team in Florida? And hello, we might be wounded as well. Like, what does this game mean long term?
Nothing. It's an SEC win. I think that what you need to see with this team right now is I think you need to see improvement every single week. I don't want to say incremental improvement. I think you need to see vast improvement every single week. Now, if we get into game 4, you breaking down the first quarter of the season, we can reconvene after that. I think we have the team, we have the assets, we have the playmakers in order to run away with this game, but it's also putting it all together. This hasn't been, when you look at the game one, defense did their thing. Special teams did their thing. You look at game two, you added the running game to it. Now, game three, you need to be able to add the offensive pieces in there. So, of course, it means something because it's an SEC game, but in the grand scheme of it, I don't think it's overly detrimental to what we're doing as a program, what we're doing as a team. I think we just need to take another step moving forward. And I think if we take the step and we progress the right way, we'll win the game handily. It all depends on how well and how cohesive we are as a unit going on the road.
So let's talk about that. Like, to me, it's not just Connor in this conversation, right? Like, to me, the offense has to be good, and that means wide receiver separation, establishing the run, which I think they've been able to do. Is that kind of like what you're thinking?
Yes. Like, on the road, you need two things to travel. You need the defense and you need the run game to travel. Okay, because the run game controls the clock. The one thing that you want to be able to do on the road, and you want to do in every game, but specifically on the road, you want to be able to control the clock. You control the clock, you control the game, right? Our defense is dynamic enough, and we have the pass rushers on the D-line. We've gone back and forth 1,000 times about that. We have enough playmakers in the back end where we can control the outcome a lot more on defense. But now it's about controlling the clock, taking the crowd out of the game, but then exploiting them in situations and opportunities in the pass game. Off a lot of play actions, a lot of boots, a lot of waggles. I think that we haven't utilized that well enough with Connor and whatnot. But I just think, man, going on the road, being able to have those things, enhance them this week, man, I think it's going to be big for us.
Talking to Jordan Pugh on the Boss Firearms Hotline. Jordan, okay, so let's talk about the Notre Dame game after the Notre Dame game, right? They lose this past weekend, right?
Yep.
And everyone's freaking out, like, oh my gosh, TexAgs was saying that Notre Dame was going to be the best defense we face, and this and that, and I still think they're going to be the best defense A&M faces. But I also have learned that in college football, what happens in week 1 and 2 does not necessarily translate for the entire season. How do you look at that Notre Dame loss, especially considering how they just lost this past weekend, and what it means for A&M? Does it even matter at this point, or are we just moving on?
I don't look at the Notre Dame loss either way. I still look at Notre Dame as an elite defense. They gave up 16 points. They did their job on Saturday. The offense of Notre Dame is what's hurting them. As far as A&M is concerned, it doesn't affect my thought process either way. Look, you got to understand, man, you're going into week 1, college game day, primetime matchup. That's almost like a Super Bowl to those type of athletes, right? You're going into a hostile environment. I think, it's possible letdown spot for Notre Dame. But as far as us, there was a lot that we took away from that game. You look at what we did defensively. I told everybody, I said, I love what we did on defense. That performance on defense was elite to me. When we take that and we move forward to the McNeese game, you saw the same thing defensively. You basically saw a shutout pitch by our starters, right? So when you're looking at the progression of what we did from game 1 to game 2, moving into game 3, I'm highly encouraged by our team. The one thing that has got to get right is the pass game. And you saw Moose inserted back into the lineup. And you saw whenever he's touching the ball, he is making plays. I think we just have to be better at getting the playmakers the ball in space. Once I think we do that, it opens up more offensively for us. And I think that sometimes, man, we've been too conservative in these past 2 games. And this game will tell a lot offensively, because were we holding back heading into SEC play? That's what we don't know yet. So it'll tell a lot, man. But most importantly, get the ball into the playmakers' hands, get it in their hands in space, and I think you'll see the offense open up.
Jordan, a player like Moose is interesting because we know that he plays so well in games when he gets opportunities, but sometimes doesn't. I'm assuming it's practice, right? Maybe the week of practice, other guys outwork him, right? So how do you've coached? How do you balance that where you go, this guy can really help us, but he's I don't know. Like, maybe Cyrus Allen has such a great practice, and it's not that he's having a bad practice. It's just maybe others are having exceptional practices. How do you kind of balance that when you know a guy's got the potential on game day?
That's the greatest mystery in coaching, man. Look, I think if you ask me if I'm giving my 2 cents, I think training camp, Cyrus is out there. He's out playing Moose in training camp. That's what I think. I think you're seeing more consistent play out of him. He understands the offense a little bit more. You're looking at a new coordinator coming in, new schemes, all that good stuff. But when Moose gets into a game, all I see is a guy who makes constant plays over and over and over and over again. It's been like that since he's been on campus. And so I think it was one of those deals where they went back, they looked at the tape against Notre Dame, and they went into week 2 against McNeese, and they said, okay, we got to get this guy involved in the offense. And when he gets involved, you see what he does when he touches it. So, man, it's one of those tricky things as a coach where you're like, man, show me something, because you're making me nervous every time I put you out there based on what I've seen for the past 5 to 6 days. Then when you get on game day, you're a brand new person. So it's one of those deals, man, where you're looking for consistency. Every coach wants consistency. I want to know what I'm getting when I put you out there on that football field. Am I getting a guy who's going to make constant mistakes? Cool, that's easy. Come sit down next to me. Am I getting a guy who's going to make plays every time he touches the ball? Cool, go on the football field and go make plays. You're looking for that consistent effort, that consistent output. And one of the things that I've seen, man, with Moose, every time that he's out there, he's consistent when that ball's in his hands. So I think it's an interesting facet, man. That's one of the things with coaching. That's why coaches get paid so much in college, because you're trying to figure out guys' personalities, where they are, their mentality, all that. And, man, it's a tricky thing to do.
All right, Jordan, let's talk about what Florida's going to try to do. They potentially could play either quarterback, Graham Mertz and DJ Lagway. If it is Lagway, do you expect for Elko on the defense and Jay Bateman to just give him some confusing looks to make him have to, process more information? Because I'm not sure about this. I'm assuming they're probably simplifying the offense, if it is Lagway, to give him not as many things to read.
If I'm Elko, I'm bringing pressure on Lagway. Here's what I'll say. Watching a few minutes of the game that they played, he's impressive, man. I think the offense flows a whole lot better, and you have a lot more explosive plays with him. With that being said, I think our defense and our front, we're going to go back to that D-line. That's going to be something where he's going to be exposed to something new, right? You're talking about NFL guys across the board. I think that you bring pressure. I think that you can get home with just our initial front, our 3 and 4 down line sets against their offensive line. But I think he's a guy that you need to heat up. He's the guy that you can't let sit back, pick through zones. I think he's talented in that area. But we don't know what he looks like under pressure, under duress, constant duress. And I think that we can do that. I think that will mess him up. I think that will make him hurry. You want to be quick, but you don't want to be in a hurry in the pocket as a quarterback. I think that's going to make him hurry. And then that can lead to turnovers, lead to big plays on defense. So I think you're going to see a lot of pressures from us. And I think you're going to see a lot of pressures coming from the A-gaps, from the middle of the formation. Young guys don't like to step up in the pocket. Young guys like to escape outside of the pocket, especially true freshmen coming from high school. We have the ends that can keep the pocket contained. We rush through the middle. You close and collapse the pocket. I think you create a lot of chaos for him that way.
Jordan, I think you're going to be like Coach Elko here, but are you concerned with the lack of sacks right now?
Yes.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yes. I am concerned, especially coming off the McNeese game. I figured you would see a lot more, right? Here's what I think. I think a lot of teams are game planning this. So you saw it with Notre Dame. You saw a little bit with McNeese of how it's catch the ball, release the ball. Catch the ball, release the ball. When you have a dominant defensive line, man, those are the type of schemes that you're going to get. But now you're going to start getting into SEC play where there's going to be a lot more play action, a lot more 5-step drops. It's going to allow our pass rushers to really get upfield. And I think you're going to see it start to translate a lot more now. Now, I'm concerned about that because I know the type of talent that's on that front, and they need to be better. Okay. Now, I don't know if it's just not execution. I don't know if they're just not having enough opportunities to, but they got to be able to create more pressure, which leads to more sacks. So that is a concern. It's not a worry. It's just a concern.
Talking to Jordan Pugh here on TexAgs Live. All right. So concern. Then what are you concerned about giving up these big run plays that they've given up? I think of 4 or 5 big explosive runs for a team, for the most part, that has stopped the run other than those plays.
No, I mean, that's the nature of the game. At some point, your defense is going to break. At some point, a guy is going to be outside of the gap. I think that's overblown too many times. When you look at the Notre Dame game, it was 2 runs. I think McNeese, you're looking at a couple big runs, if I'm not mistaken, fourth quarter. Backups, reserves are in. I think that we have played well on defense. And you know what I mean? I just think that we have to be able to enhance it, and we have to up our game. We have to up our level. As far as the run game is concerned, going into the Florida game, I think that will be much improved. I think we'll be a lot more gap sound, especially with what they do on offense. So I'm excited to see what they do defensively, but I'm not overly concerned about that.
Here's a question from Scar Tissue on the TexAgs chat. He says, Jordan, how do you go about getting more explosive plays in the passing game, considering that there hasn't been that separation? Is it schematics? Is it the play calling? Is it obviously trying to find guys in space? What do you think Colin Klein's thinking about?
You got to create space. So the way you create space is by alignment and by movement. All right. So when I say alignment, you have tight formations, you have bunch formations. That creates separation initially off the line of scrimmage, right? I can't initially press the receivers, right? You also create space by movement. You motion, sprint outs, boots, waggles. You get guys in the space right now when you create movement because you cause the defense's eyes to shift. Anytime there's a movement, anytime there's a shift on offense, my eyes have to go in multiple places defensively, okay? So I think that's how they create the separation for the receivers. In the first two games, Notre Dame and McNeese, I didn't see a lot of movement. That's why I'm wondering, are they saving something for SEC play? I think that also getting Connor under center would be big as well. That will allow for more play action. With the running game opening up this past week, that allows them for more play action looks, more max protections on the offensive line, and now that can create more separation as well. So we're getting into the schematics of it. It's a lot of it is alignment, a lot of it is movement. Then when you have the rushing game that's going, you can create play action, boosts and waggles off of that create space for the receivers.
Jordan, there's potential rain on Saturday in Gainesville. Potential, it's still a few days out. How does that, you think, affect the game plan, considering what you said at the top of the segment? You want your defense to travel and you want your running game to travel.
I don't think that affects the game plan at all. Look, I think if it does rain, you just lean on the run game, all right? So you saw the explosive plays that we had in the run game. The defense is going to do what the defense does. Rain doesn't really affect us that way. I just think that now if the rain does come into play, it becomes a factor. Now you're talking about more under center with Connor. You're talking about more play action game with Connor, which that helps the offense in and of itself too. So either way, man, I don't think that's a huge factor. Both teams got to play in the rain. But if that does happen, I think we have the advantage in that aspect based on what we can do defensively and what we can do in the run game.
Jordan, you believed in Connor early on, very, very early on, before his freshman year, that summer. Why do you still believe in him?
Because I know what he's capable of. Look, you're looking at Connor. How many games has he played total? I want to say it's 6, right?
10.
10? Okay. So you're still looking at a guy who's still getting used to the college game. But when you look at let's go back to that Miami game. You look at what he did against Miami, and you saw the progression slowly build. You see what he's capable of. You know the command that he has. I think that you're dealing with a guy that's in a new offense. You're dealing with a guy who has expectations now. And when you're looking at expectations, sometimes that can weigh on you. But also at the same time, I think that offensively we have been holding him back. Or, i.e., we've been holding the offense back from what Klein usually does. You saw from what he did at Kansas State, the explosive plays, the movement, all that. You haven't seen a lot of that. So going into this game, I think you're going to see a lot more of it. I think that they've been waiting for SEC play to open because we know that's the most important part of the year, right, when SEC play starts. And I'll be interested to see, man, how they really allow Connor to take control of this offense and utilize his full skill set, arm and leg. I think that's going to be big going into this week.
Do you worry about this game, though? It's just obviously it's a winnable game because it's a team that's kind of wounded and doesn't have a lot of expectations. It is an SEC road game. This team has struggled on the road. It's a hostile place to play. If somebody was writing the story, an anti-A&M person would be like, of course A&M loses this game. This is what they do. Are you worried?
I worry about every SEC game because every SEC team is capable of beating one another. Every single one. Here's the number one worry I have. If they play Lagway, that's going to be a concern/worry for me. What I saw with Florida last week is you saw hope. When he went in the game, you saw excitement. You saw an offense that goes, okay, we have a guy who can deliver, who can make plays. That changes everything. Mentality, mindset, all that. There's always a worry going into it in SEC play going on the road. But I think that we're fully capable and we can handle every single scenario that's thrown at us on the road. And I think we get out of there with a victory.
Jordan, great stuff as always, my friend. Thank you so much.
All right, man. Let's do it.
All right, man. Talk to you soon. Jordan Pugh there on the Boss Firearms Hotline. We'll come back with some text messages and some notes around the SEC. Right now, we're talking Varsity Grill House. They want to satisfy your food cravings. And if you want to go to a place that you can hang out with your friends or you want to have a nice anniversary dinner or you want to watch the sporting events, you go to Varsity Grill House, right? It's classy, it's cool, it's got the right atmosphere, and it just feels like the right place to go for whatever the occasion is. Date with your wife, hang out with your kids watching games, you name it, the Varsity Grill House has it. They've got an amazing atmosphere. They've got sizzling burgers, savory 4-farm steaks, a dozen signature cocktails, and of course, they have the best desserts around. And don't forget, they want to be your go-to destination for unforgettable gatherings. Swing by the Varsity Grill House today and taste the difference. It's Varsity Grill House, your home for good times and great food. We hope to see you. And we are back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We know that they're the place to go to get your Rolexes, and of course, any David Yerman collector needs to stop by David Gardner's Jewelers. Stop by and see all the great stuff that they have there. David and Julie are fantastic friends of the program, and of course of this great community, davidgardnersjewelers.com. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Callie Gardner is there. Callie, you got some text for us? You got some thoughts for us? You got some SEC notes for us?
I do. We'll have an SEC thought first, and then we'll go into a text message.
Okay.
But we had, there was a post that was made the other day, and it was talking about the passing yard leaders after week 2. And it has DJ Lagway, who is the Florida quarterback, and he's
for
tied
like 458
for
yards, was it?
Yeah, 487.
Oh my gosh.
And he's currently tied for 8th in the SEC, tied with Peyton Thorne, who played both weeks, and he has only played in 4 quarters. So it's just an interesting comparison to see how he's ranked above 6 or 8 other quarterbacks in the SEC.
One of those might be our quarterback who has not thrown for that many yards. I think he's thrown for, what, 240-something yards?
Yeah,
He played a
he's
quarter
doubled.
in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it was a little bit more than 3 minutes, but a quarter and a half.
Yeah. So it's an interesting comparison. But also on the Peyton Thorne note, he went on a podcast this morning.
Peyton Thorne went on a podcast?
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
And he shared that fans are Venmo requesting him to get their money back for their lost bets from this weekend.
People are
Because he
mean.
played so well in week 1. And then week 2, he had a rough showing. And he says they're definitely not sending cash, but it's funny when they lose their money, they want their money back. But when they win on a parlay, no money is ever sent to him. So he's a little salty.
Look, guys, you don't have to be mean to these athletes. Like, don't you think he wants to play well?
Yes.
Right? Like, it's
He's
like
not going out there with hopes to
right?
crush
It's not
people's
like
bets.
he had a bad game. It could be the coaching staff. They weren't prepared. Like, Auburn's lost some games that, if you look at the last, 14 games for them, 12 games last year under Hugh Freeze, like, they've lost, was it New Mexico State last year?
Yeah, they did lose that.
And then one week they almost beat Georgia, and they against us. Peyton Thorne couldn't complete a pass. They put him on the bench for Robbie Ashford, and Robbie Ashford is one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen in SEC football. Who, by the way, beat A&M the year prior.
Right.
So I say all that to we don't have to be mean to coaches and players, right? You can, oh man, I don't like when he comes in. That's fine, but like.
The personal attacks, again, we've experienced.
I'm against personal attacks.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not my thing. What else?
We have a text from David and Temple. We're staying along the road game troubles that A&M has had in the past few years. But he shares his opinion on the road game debacles, and he says that was a different regime, different years, not this year. Different opponent dynamics, and the most players that were a part of most of those losses are no longer here. A new coaching staff and no Thursday travel is different, a new culture being developed. So at this point, I believe there's no reason to believe that this affects this specific team.
I just think that people are going, and by the way, I'm in this group too, right? Like, I need to see the offense play at a higher level than I've seen so far through 8 quarters of football, even though the offense did everything I needed them to do against McNeese. I agree. I want to see this offense. If the A&M offense looks like the A&M offense that we saw against Miami a year ago, different team, different offensive line, Anaya Smith, I get all that. I'm just saying that level of offense, this team will go to Gainesville and destroy the Gators, in my opinion. That's asking for a lot because we haven't seen it. I understand that. But my point is, if I believed in Connor Wigman before the season started, I am not going to allow one game, and it was a bad game, one game against a top 10 team. But David, were they really top 10? They just lost to Northern Illinois. They were a top 10 team. They are a top 25 team. It's a weird world of college football where, like, perceived powerhouses every year are losing to teams that you would not expect them to lose. Every year. We've seen it here, right? So now, as more evidence is, you can choose to be like, Connor is more what we saw in 23, or you can be like, Connor is more what we saw in Notre Dame. As of today, on the 10 games I've seen this kid play in, I'm going to say he's more like I saw against Miami, like I saw against LSU. That's the Connor that I am choosing, because I don't want to be a miserable human being just mad about my football team and like, no, we can't have anything nice. I'm choosing that. Now, if they go to Gainesville and he struggles in that game, or the wide receivers aren't getting the separation that we need to see in SEC play, then look, it's going to be a rough year. But I am not jumping off any boats or any cliffs, right? Like, I'm going to allow things to develop. I have my concerns. I am interestingly concerned about stopping the run game, although I think Coach Elko's track record means that we'll figure that out. I am concerned about the wide receivers getting open. But hey, Jabri Barber, another week, maybe he feels better. Cyrus Allen feeling more comfortable. Terry Bussey's obviously making some plays. Moose showed some promise. Noah Thomas had a touchdown catch. So, yes, against a McNeese level of opponent, but there's still reasons to feel like, all right, if I can see just a little bit of that against Florida, I think we will all breathe, and then we'll start worrying about Bowling Green. Oh, Bowling Green almost beat Penn State. Let's just worry about Florida. What else?
We have a chat that says, this is going back to the beginning of the show, but he says, regardless of what Billy Napier says, if A&M was smart, they would prepare to see both quarterbacks.
Who said that?
Sandman.
Sam, yes. Yeah.
They would.
Yes.
Yep.
I mean, yes, obviously. Coach Elko spoke about that. Like, you've got to, there's no doubt in my mind that Coach Elko is preparing. He even talked about it yesterday for a DJ Lagway, and there's not a lot of college film just against Samford, right? But they are preparing for that, for what they saw him do in high school, right? No doubt. And also, let's not forget, Graham Mertz, people were speaking very highly of him coming into this season. He was really good in the SEC. He's underrated. You got to prepare for two very capable quarterbacks. One that is the future of that program if Billy Napier stays, and the other is a guy that's been very safe for them. Well, was very safe for them last year, that they feel that can give them winning plays. But Billy Napier's at this point in his career where he has to win this game, right? Like, he has to. I don't know if he gets fired on Monday, but he has to win this game because these are the winnable games. All right, we're going to hit a break. When we come back, we will talk to Peter Burns of the SEC Network, chit-chat with him about all things happening in the SEC, and of course, we'll talk about his time here at A&M. Maybe he went to Northgate, maybe he got to walk around Kyle Field. I don't know. He'll tell us all about it. Right now, we're talking Heritage Films. That is Chance McClain's company. They make documentary films about families. You do not have to be an NFL Hall of Famer to have a documentary done for you. You don't have to be a college football Hall of Famer. You could be just a normal dad who hosts a TV and talk show. You can be a normal dad that runs a company down the street. You can be a dad that is, or a mom, right? You're a housewife. It doesn't matter. You're a Fortune 500 mother. It does not matter. Chance can tell your story in a 2-hour documentary form that is going to be such an impactful thing for your family because the next generation gets to watch the story, the generation after that gets to watch the story, and you're going to do it together as a community. Maybe you have a big event that you like to get together for every year. Thanksgiving, everybody comes to your house. Let Chance be an eye in the sky at a holiday party. Tell that story. Interview the party that's there and get some videos and pictures to kind of help tell that story. The website is yourheritagefilm.com. Yourheritagefilm.com. Call them up, 713-893-8341. 713-893-8341. It's Heritage Films. And we're back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. We're going to go to the Boss Firearms Hotline and talk to Peter Burns of the SEC Network. Thanks to our good friends there at Blue Delta Jeans. PB, good morning, buddy.
How we feeling, buddy? We doing good? We living life? I mean, I'm still recovering from after the last couple of days hanging out with Lucci.
How was that experience, man? I was waiting for that phone call to meet you guys out, and I never got it from you or Billy.
You know what? I blame Callie. Callie was going to be the one who was going to get everybody in ready to go, and that's what happened. So I'm blaming that. But it was a good weekend, man. Like I said, it was good to be back there. We did the Dixie Chicken. We did Bobcat Valley, did Northgate the way it was supposed to be, and then we saw the Connor Wigman that I thought that we were going to see all season long, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm glad you say that because some folks are not ready to accept that performance because it was against McNeese and not a quality opponent. So from what you saw, does it make you feel better at least that we'll see more of that Connor than the one we saw against Notre Dame?
Yeah, because I expected them to play better, obviously. There's no doubt because of the level of competition. I think the one thing that actually surprised me the most and made me feel more comfortable was I was talking to Jace. We had Jace Lavalette on the show right before the game, and I said, hey, man, are you boys with Connor? He's like, yeah, we played baseball growing up, and that's my boy. And I was like, so how did you handle, the game against Notre Dame? It was his worst game. He's like, I told him, I was like, dude, you're horrible, And he was, and just the fact that, when you're hanging out with your boys, you want to make sure that your friends are giving you hell. And if you're going to give them hell back, that almost means like you're like, hey, dude, I know what happened. I know it wasn't a good situation. And so sure enough, I knew he was going to bounce back. So I think mentally he's in a good spot. And then, now you have an unbelievable important game coming up with who the hell knows out of Florida right now with what they got DJ Lagway. I mean, Lagway kind of reminded me a little bit of what Connor was this week, is the fact that you took advantage of a bad team and you injected a little bit of flavor and juice into your program.
You know what else he does, Peter? And I'm stealing a thought from Jordan Pugh, who was on the show earlier. But if you remember a couple years back when Connor came in against South Carolina, when he made his debut, and yeah, they didn't end up winning that game against South Carolina, and then he played against Ole Miss and played magnificently in a loss. It just gave you hope. And sometimes the fans need hope, but the locker room needs hope too.
Yeah, and then it's just a matter of, hey, all right, who are you going to get the ball to? Is there a good feeling? I mean, I think that's one of the things we talked about, and we didn't talk about enough, and I'm sure you guys brought it up, but, we were really looking into, hey, when you lose your starting center a couple of, plays into the season, everything changes. And that was just a horrible matchup in week one that Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman were going to take advantage of that. So I think there was a little bit more comfort level with the kid that came in, the transfer from Utah. But yeah, you need to win a damn game. I'm out here on the golf course right now with my dad, and I'm like, all right, just get a birdie. I don't care if it's an easy par 5 or an easy par 3. Like, just get something to where you're like, all right, I've got something positive to work on. But man, I can't. I mean, I don't think we can, highlight this game enough as monster for Elko, and even probably bigger for Billy Napier as he's kind of battling for his future.
Peter, let's talk also for a moment about Graham Mertz, because people are acting like this is a bad quarterback. Graham Mertz was one of the highly touted quarterbacks entering this season because he was pretty solid last year for a bad Florida team. So it's not like he's a bad quarterback. It's just that Lagway gives them that potential, that higher ceiling.
Yeah, I think that was the whole deal. It's like if you're looking at kind of what, I mean, it's hard to say. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, probably the roof right now or the ceiling for Graham Mertz is probably about an 8. But the floor is probably about a 6. Like there's not going to be a lot. There's going to give you above average quarterback play. DJ Lagway can be a 10. I mean, and we saw those plays. I mean, 9 completions of 20 plus. That's why I'm looking forward to seeing what that matchup's like against A&M secondary. But we don't know what the floor is, right? I mean, as a freshman playing at home, the weight of this program, and I don't think he's going to get the start. Knowing Billy, and I haven't seen the practice reports right now, but as long as Mertz has cleared the concussion protocol, he will probably start the game, but you'll probably see more of a 50-50 split. So, I mean, it's going to be like the poorest of poor man's Tim Tebow and Chris Leak type 1-2 punch at quarterback this week against the Aggies.
Let's talk a little bit about LSU. I don't know what to make of that last game. They did what they were supposed to do, I guess, from a win standpoint, but a lot tighter game than expected. Have you changed the way you look at LSU this year yet?
No, I mean, again, because I don't know what to make of USC. Now, this obviously, this is where that offensive line is going to play a monster role for LSU because South Carolina, I mean, between, I think it's the kid Dylan Stewart. I mean, he has been nothing but fantastic as a freshman. He kind of reminds me of what Harold Perkins was doing when he was 18. So I'm still shocked. I don't know. Did you hear about when they were talking? Did you hear about what Shane Beamer said? He had no idea they were having College game day until his wife had to tell him as he was landing the plane. Like, that's how shocked they are after looking bad against Old Dominion, the fact that they're hosting this thing on Saturday.
It's pretty cool, though. Man, we all have our favorites, obviously, if you went to a certain school, LSU, A&M. But, Shane Beamer's one of the good guys, right? There's a cool vibe to him, and I kind of root for him to do well unless he's playing my school.
Yeah, and again, I think some people said, okay, it was a little over the top, a little cheesy when he first got in there. But also I think they needed that, truthfully. I mean, I think they needed to get people behind the program, have fun. And what they did against Kentucky last week, I mean, I was shocked. I mean, I don't know about you, but I really thought Kentucky, after watching South Carolina struggle week one, they're like, okay, they're going to handle them. And, I mean, they just took it to them. I've never seen a Mark Stoops Kentucky team quit like that and just not give up a fight. I mean, that was just crazy.
How bad is Michigan, or how good is Texas, or both?
It's both. I mean, listen, Texas is legit. I did their spring game this year, and, I mean, they looked the part of every Bama national championship team. They looked the part of Georgia national championship teams. I mean, they're legit. Now, do I think that was I think Michigan is about probably, best case scenario, 9-3. I still think it's an 8-4 squad. And you lose 13 players to the NFL and you lose your head coach, you're going to have a huge you're going to have a huge fallback. So, to me, I look at this as it's a good win, but it really doesn't matter until we see Texas versus Georgia later in the season. And then, can you imagine? That's why I want this game in Kyle Field to matter for everybody. Either it's either Texas or even A&M if they're putting something together, this unbelievable run for it to be a college football implication game. And I can't even imagine what the tickets are going to go for in that game.
Burns, what about Alabama, Wisconsin? I don't want to read too much into how tight that game was with South Florida. Maybe that's just a matchup problem for Bama. We saw it last year as well. But do you think Bama is should be a little worried about this Wisconsin team?
Yeah, the thing is I think the offensive line issues, I think that they were trying to develop the run, and they just didn't have it until that fourth quarter. So, Alex Golesh does a really good job over at South Florida. 2 years in a row that they schemed something. But I think also, we were over at Jimmy's and watching that game, and all of a sudden, like, man, this is a game. It's 14-13. I'm 2 Cadillac margaritas in, and all of a sudden I look up and I'm like, wait, what the hell just happened? How in the world did they just score 28 points in the fourth quarter? So they still have a different level that a lot of teams do not have. Alabama has a level right now that I don't think A&M has, that LSU has. They could turn it on. The problem is I think, at some point you think, it's South Florida, it's whatever. You can't do that in this SEC. And can you imagine had they lost that game on the day that they honor Nick Saban and named it Nick Saban Field with him in attendance against South Florida? They might have burned the place down.
Peter, Kentucky, we saw them struggle quite a bit against South Carolina. At least the schedule makers are nice in giving them an easy game against, Georgia.
Yeah, that's brutal. And by the way, they get, I think, Iowa, or they get Ohio next week after they get beat down by Georgia. And then, they got to go to Oxford to face Ole Miss. That's why that game, there's certain games in the start of the season. And I don't think it would be Texas A&M Florida. I don't know what that game would be for A&M, but it's all right, you need to make sure you get over this hump. And that's the game that South Carolina needed last week was hey, just don't mess up and trip over South Carolina, and then you got demoralized in front of your home fans, and now you got to face Georgia and Ole Miss in 2 of the next 3 weeks. My question is at some point, and obviously we know Stoops was flirting with other programs, wink, wink, and it's like, has the time ended over there, or is he able to bounce back? Because this is two transfer portal quarterbacks that have been less than stellar. You go back and look at Devin Leary and, of course, Brock Vandergriff. I mean, he had a QBR of 1.7. I didn't even know you could get a 1.7 QBR. I felt like if you take a snap, you get like 3 points automatic.
Hey, Burns, I miss the old Kanye, by the way.
Listen, that was the greatest line. I miss the old Kanye, the polo wearing Kanye. Listen, I saw it. And real quick story before I leave. So we got 5 minutes to go on the SEC Now live show. Everything is going well. And all of a sudden, I'm like, man, I got 5 minutes to kill by myself. I'm like, what the hell am I talking about? So I was like, I need to go full Lucy and just give these long-winded, statements. And then I see Trev Albert, and I'm like, oh, Trev, come on over here, save me. Like, come over here for 3 minutes. And he wouldn't come over. And I'm like, that's not like Trev. Trev's normally really cool and he'll do it. And I saw him afterwards. He was like, hey, man, my brother was here, and we're so excited to see Power that I wanted him to experience this. So I wanted to be there and watch with him. And I thought that was a cool thing when your athletic department or your athletic director is sitting there going, I've got to be there for, the Aggies coming out of the tunnel to Power. That's a pretty cool deal, and he's having some fun out here.
I love having it back. Next time you're in town, as long as it's before 9 o'clock, I'll meet up with you guys at Northgate, all right?
We will do that as long as Callie brings the shot glass. That's the only thing that needs to happen.
Thank you, Burns. Talk to you soon, buddy. See you, man. Peter Burns, SEC Network on the Boss Firearms Hotline. We'll hit a break, and we'll close out with a little Pass It Back Day. Right now, Rollo Insurance, obviously the studio, this awesome new studio. You should have seen Jason and Jackson Rollo. Like, they were helping David Jones build this bad boy, right? They were just, hammering away, Morgan. That's why it's the Rollo Insurance Studio, and that's why we use them. They are the official insurance provider of TexAgs Live because they are the very best at what they do. And when I say that, you're like, but are you really a client? Yes, I'm a client, just like George Zimmer. I'm not the president, though. I am a client for them because Morgan is my guy. He takes great care of me. The pricing, the way they explain things, they want to educate you on what you're paying for. They do all the shopping for you, and then you get to accomplish your insurance goals. And you don't think about insurance till you need it, but when you need it, you better have somebody that you trust. And that's why that I trust Rollo Insurance. Homeowners, farmers, ranchers, hobby farmers, business owners, you name it, they want to bring you the very best insurance option out there. They've got 60 offices in Texas, but as you know, their headquarters is right here on Highway 6 in College Station. Call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. Go to RolloInsurance.com. That's 888-44-ROLLO. Go to RolloInsurance.com. We're back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Time to end the day with Double Dave's caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave, serving Aggieland since 1984. And they have your favorite pizza and world-famous pepperoni rolls, reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. We're passing it back still. Pass it back day. Hopefully everybody's getting involved with it. We've got Andrew Applewhite in studio. Hello, Andrew. How are you, sir?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Doing wonderful. And we've got Allison Siebert with us, who's joined us. This is your third year to join us?
So.
Third year.
Third.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So let's talk a little bit about it. We've been talking a little bit about the why behind it. I want to talk a little bit from your perspective, not only the why, but like how happy it makes you to do what the association does, and these funds help you, put you in that position.
Yes. This is my favorite day of the year, be able to raise support for Texas Aggies. I was benefited from these funds raised by the Association of Former Students from Boston, went to school in New Orleans. It was a student who came over by Hurricane Katrina and got a scholarship from the Association of Former Students. So to be able to raise the same funds that helped me at my time as a student brings me so much joy. It's a blessing.
I knew that story and I forgot that story. It's such an impactful story. Like, you are a perfect example of what this is about.
Exactly. To be taken in by the Aggie Network and loved on by Texas Aggies, and now be able to do the same with my 6 kids and bringing them around the Association of Former Students and hoping that they'll be future Aggies. It's the biggest joy and blessing to be able to do that.
Andrew, talk a little bit about what it means to not only be an Aggie, because he's got a story behind it that we will try to get to here in a minute, but to see all the work that goes into making sure that these current students and former students are given the very best.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just the Association of Former Students gives so much to students, whether that is in the form of the ring day, which is such an incredible celebration of beating the hell out of 90 hours, to actually the financial contributions that so many students benefit, like Allison herself benefited, but so many other students benefit so much from the financial contribution in the form of scholarships, ring scholarships, but then also activities that the association provides funds for to contribute to just the student experience that's so incredible and so unique to A&M and A&M only.
Allison, talk about why this is so important to do it today, too, because, I mean, not only are you helping out an amazing organization with an amazing mission, but you also get the benefit today as well.
You do, and it's all about the power of the Aggie Network, so getting everybody to come together, and we're hoping to raise gifts from 1879 donors, and you get half off missing year bars, and so I made my gift today for not only the years that I had missing prior to me coming into college. So I bought back prior to 2011. It's half off, great way to buy back for years you might have missed. And encourage your friends to do the same, those who might not have given and can give for the first time today.
And you can give for others, right?
You can, yes. My family loves Texas A&M. They live up in the Northeast, so I make gifts for my parents. So they're Century Club members, and so they get the Texas Aggie magazine and love reading it every time it comes in. And so it's a great way to give that gift, maybe for a special occasion like a birthday, give in honor of somebody birthday today, and some family and friends that can become Century Club members for the first time.
Andrew, you ever watch House of Dragon or Game of Thrones?
I can't say that.
Okay, so this won't work for you. It might work for our audience, though. So the Targaryen, you don't want to marry the Targaryens, right? Because it's going to change the lineage. I've got to thank you, though, because your last name is what?
Applewhite.
And your family is a bunch of what?
T-Sips.
And you said, nah, me and my sister, we're going to go to Texas A&M. We're going to change that. So
yes, sir.
You're like part of the good part of the story. Season 3? You're part of season 3.
Oh, yeah. It's all about the comeback.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So have you started transforming the rest of your family into being Aggies?
Oh, absolutely. My mom actually followed my twin sister and I. She's getting her master's through the Bush School right now.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes, sir.
How is the Longhorn part of the family handling that news?
Oh, you know what? They're taking it a little rough. My dad, just absolutely hated when we first visited. My grandfather actually called me right after my first visit to College Station. He said, "You done wiping the manure off your boots? It's the Texas School of Agriculture manure." And I was like, "Well, you know what, Grandpa? This place ain't so bad." And so we ended up deciding to come here. Now my little brother loves it. It's his favorite school. And having 3 current Aggies and hopefully one future one is so special.
I got to jump in right there. Awesome story. Pass It Back Day, tx.ag/Pass It Back Day. We'll see you mañana.